Delaware, welcome to the Monster Mile, Dover International Speedway, home of chase race number 3. 12 chase drivers separated by 66 points, and with 8 to go for those chasers, time is running out. Who can withstand the pressure today?
So this is a place that
Pressure keeps us honest. It makes the whole engine run. You push hard enough, you can achieve anything.
That's right, 2 in a row.
Think about it. Walls that nobody believed in our lifetime would fall have crumbled because of pressure. Pressure is going 180 miles per hour in bumper-to-bumper traffic, and after you wrap your head around that little nugget, try doing it at 140 degrees, wearing 2 layers of fireproof gear for 3 hours.
Damn it! Just be cool here. Get your friggin' out of the game!
Pressure is driving so fast your focus is 500 feet up the road. Pressure is subjecting your body to more G-forces than an astronaut. And while all this is going on, your heart rate is pumping like a marathon runner, there's still a race to be won. There's split-second decisions to be made, time to make up as time is running out.
Dude, I'm gonna drive my ass off. Don't sweat it. Just let me go out and do my thing.
Pressure? When is there not pressure? Whether you're racing for a championship or trying to make the rent. Pressure's good. Without it, people would achieve nothing.
For the past 5 seasons, Jimmy Johnson has hoisted the trophy at the end of the season. Today could give us a pretty good idea of who is a serious chase contender. Let's go trackside.
Race fans, I would like you to please rise and remain standing as I present to you the Military District of Washington Armed Forces Color Guard. And here for today's invocation, Reverend Dan Schaefer, pastor of the Calvary Assembly of God in Hightstown, New Jersey.
Shall we pray? Almighty God, we pause this day to remember this race 10 years ago as America lost many of our citizens, our first responders. But through the years, our military and our nation has proven to be the greatest nation on the earth. And we thank you that we can be here today to enjoy the greatest sport in America. America is still alive, and America will go on. And we thank you and we praise you. And we ask now for a great race, for a safe race. In Christ's name, amen. Shalom.
And remain standing for today's anthem, being presented by actress Melora Hardin from 17 Again, Monk, the Hannah Montana movie, and she played Jan on The Office. See her starring in the new TBS comedy, The Wedding Band, starting in June 2012.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Race fans, Melora Hardin.
And you can join Goodyear in saluting America's armed forces and give back by helping support our troops. Visit Goodyear.com/support our troops to learn more. When we come back, time to put away the notes and fire the engines. 400 laps, 400 miles from Dover. Next.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover is brought to you by Cobalt, the next generation of tough tools. Longhorn Steakhouse. Join us at Longhorn Steakhouse for a perfectly grilled, expertly seasoned steak. And Sprint, proud sponsor of the Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Race fans, check out NASCAR.com. Race Buddy to watch all your favorite drivers with 8 live fans are filling in, and down on the grid, drivers need to climb in the Paul Menard.
I tell you, Paul Menard looking really good right now. He's qualified third. He the biggest races of the year, the Indianapolis race. Fantastic team, man.
Absolutely right, Rusty. I'll tell you, here 19 starts, 4 poles, 11 top 10s. I'm going to roll with old Rocket Man. He's starting 20th, but I think he can get the job done.
Here's something we said earlier, Alan. The points leader at this point in the season has never gone on to win the championship. However, that stat is quite different after that race, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Much better odds of becoming champion if you lead the chase after this third race. We'll talk about that with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie, because DJ made a statement to us earlier in the weekend that he thought there would be a big shakeup in the standings after this race. Why?
Yeah, I really believe that. This is a very difficult racetrack, and I think past history tells us that there are a number of drivers that do pretty well here. They're not at the top of the standings right now. And I look at these 4 drivers that we have highlighted: Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, all have performed very well here in recent past. And I really think that they do that today. In doing that, they're going to be much closer to the top of the standings. Tony Stewart has struggled at this racetrack back earlier this year, and in practice on Friday, I really believe this tightens up quite a bit. So I think the difficulty of the track and all involved, that we see things much different about 6 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, history and practice do say that, Dale, but these races this year have really come down to not the fastest car always winning. All the strategy plays that have come into it. You know, if your guy's not leading in this thing, when you in the middle of the race or getting towards the end, stand by, because it can change, and it will change. So, you know, we can see anything happen in this chase.
And there is pressure on the pit crews to perform in this chase and in this race.
Yeah, with the cars being so close in lap times, it's so difficult to pass. The best place to do it is on pit road, so the crews are under a lot of pressure. You know, Kyle Busch has had one of the best pit crews during the regular season, but during this chase, he has lost about 20 spots on pit road under caution.
So pressure on the 18 team and all the crews to get it done on pit road to help their driver on the track. Time to start them up.
And now, race fans, for those most famous words in all of motorsports, I present to you the Chief Operating Officer and Executive Vice President of AAA Mid-Atlantic, Mr. Bernie Koch.
AAA and NASCAR, great combination. AAA members, help me. Drivers, start your engines!
You got me? There is some rain in the area. I got Josh Caution, lap 40. I got a little rain over a lot.
So just about set to go here at the Monster Mile today. And our in-race reporter for this third race in the chase is a man who not only drives that 5 car today, but he's had a ton of success at this Dover racetrack in the past. Mark Martin, a 4-time winner here at Dover across the years. Mark has made some 50 starts at this racetrack, and he'll be the man reporting to us from on board. We'll talk with him on the pace laps next. 42 years of racing at Dover. We've seen some great performances by some great drivers. Yeah, Rusty Wallace, Dale Jarrett among the winners here. And how about this guy, Mark Martin? I know that picture's from a little while ago. Mark's been racing here at Dover for a long time and is going to race again today. He is our in-race reporter for Race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Starting lineup coming across the top of the screen, Martin Truex Jr. on the pole, his home racetrack, the site of his only NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win so far. He's really been running well lately. Watch for that 56 car today to maybe find a way into victory lane. It'd be a big celebration if he does. Now, you're going to have to wait a while in this starting lineup before you get back to our in-race reporter, Mark Martin, the subject of this week's Gillette Pro Glide profile. Mark's track record of success here at Dover, left column of numbers there, Andy, is terrific. His track record of success in 2011, right side of the column. not so terrific, but his best finish this season was here in May. Skeptic or believer on Mark today?
I'm a believer in Mark Martin today at Dover, always. I mean, I can't remember races where Mark Martin hadn't been a factor up here.
Well, he's our in-race reporter, DJ.
Hey, Mark, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Hey, Dale. Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Thanks for talking with us today, Mark. Our first question comes from our mailbag, and LC in Paris, Texas asks, since this seems to be one of your stronger tracks, what do you like about it, and do you think you have what it takes to get the win today?
I love this racetrack. I always have from the first time I came here. The easiest way to explain it is that I've always been able to find a way to make our car handle really good here. So we've had a lot of great runs, and considering that we finished second up here last race, this race team has got a win in their crosshairs here. We weren't very happy with the car on Friday in practice, but we've made a lot of changes, and we're gonna race the heck out of them here today.
Hey, Mark, speaking of that race back here in May where you finished second, a little strategy involved there. We've seen a lot of strategy lately in races. How big of a part do you play in those decisions, or do you leave most of it to your crew chief, Lance McGrew?
I leave most decisions to Lance McGrew, but if I see something that is glaring or something, then I certainly put my 2 cents worth in. It's a complete, total team effort. Everybody sees something a little bit different, so we try to put our heads together.
All right, Mark, thanks for talking with us. You have a great race today, and we'll talk to you later on.
Okay, Dale, thanks.
Mark Martin carrying one of 9 high-definition onboard cameras we have for you throughout the field of today's race. Jamie McMurray as well with a great onboard ride for us today. And 7 of those 9 cameras are with drivers in the chase for the Sprint Cup, and they're spread throughout this starting grid from the front to pretty deep in the field. Kurt Busch on the front row. Kevin Harvick not so close to the front.
You'll be able to see from these in-car shots just how hard these drivers have to work to navigate this track.
And our over-the-wall reporter today is the jack man for J.J. Yaley. Sean Irvin is carrying our camera, kind of the quarterback of the pit crew with that jack in hand. Have a great day today, Sean.
All right, I appreciate it, man. You guys all have a good day out there.
And a quick reminder that make sure you stick with us for our NASCAR nonstop coverage in the second half of today's race, as all throughout the chase, today presented by Aaron's. Lap and a quarter from the green. Stories from pit road before they get started. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thank you very much, Alan. After appearing almost invincible in the first 5 years of the chase for the Sprint Cup, Jimmy Johnson has seemed somewhat human this year in the first 2 chase races. After all, running out of gas late at Chicagoland, having contact late at New Hampshire, he finds himself mired back 10th in the standings. But today at Dover, where Jimmy has won 3 of the last 5 races, this team believes their driver, nicknamed Superman, will set sail and soar toward an unprecedented 6th consecutive Cup title. Dave Burns.
Brad Keselowski in the blue number 2 will never forget the first time that he raced here at Dover. It was 7 years ago, and his dad was the crew chief. That day, Brad was told, just go out there and run about half throttle. This place is tough, and I don't want you to hit the wall. Fast forward to now. Brad is 3rd in the championship. His team believes they can win, and Brad will be 100% on the gas. Yeah, there's still that wall thing, but I think Brad can avoid that as well. Vince Welch?
Every team has tracks where their performance is better than others, and their expectations are higher.
All right, guys, have some fun today. It was a good job last week. It's going to be good.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Dover is definitely one of those tracks for Carl Edwards and his crew chief Bob Osborne in this 99 team. Top 5 finishes in 4 of the last 5 races here. If Edwards is to win the chase, capitalizing here at Dover will be key. Jamie Little?
13 years ago, Matt Kenseth made his Sprint Cup Series debut. Now 2 wins later, including this past spring, he's back. They brought the same car they won with in May, and although they're starting 18th, his crew chief Jimmy Fenning told me, that's above average for us, Alan. They're confident.
Sure are. And we'll keep an eye on Matt today here at the Monster Mile. So, those are some of the stories as we get ready to go. Very grueling, very difficult, very demanding race on both car and driver with a lot at stake.
Yeah, it really is. And we talked about it. We've got a cool day, so it's not, the temperature's not quite as high inside the car, but you still have a lot of work. Very physically demanding racetrack.
Martin Truex Jr., Kurt Busch on the front row. Race number 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on Dover's Monster Mile is underway. gets the lead. He'll pace lap 1, single file, back through the front 8 or so. Maybe now even back through the front 10. This racetrack is very different than from when these drivers last were on it for any significant amount of time.
You can see just from that last shot how the tires are putting rubber down right off the bat. That's a good thing. The track has not much rubber on it right now, so we'll see that groove widen out as they go. But we'll just see these cars also handling different with the rubber buildup on the track.
Practice, all the practice for this race was held on Friday. Conditions were mostly sunny, then clouded over during that practice. The only time these cars have been on the racetrack since Friday, 2 laps of qualifying on Saturday. As Kurt Busch goes after the lead on Truex.
Wow, he's really strong through the middle of the corner. Easily taking the lead from Truex.
So first bonus points earned today by a driver in the championship go to Kurt.
Yeah, and we've seen this 22 team be really good when the track surface was cool before it got rubber down on it. Will they be able to keep up with the changing conditions here today and keep Kurt Busch happy with his car?
The track, excuse me, Alan, the track has a ton of grip when it doesn't have that rubber buildup on it. Lap times are really fast. The cool temperatures are helping that too. Talk to some of the crew chiefs down there. They don't really know how these cool temperatures are really going to affect the balance of their cars.
Jimmy Johnson through to 5th in the 48 car. And Denny Hamlin. Heard from him extensively. Oh, look out, trouble. Allmendinger sideways.
He may keep it off the wall if he doesn't get hit. Oh, what a save.
That was a save.
Caution flag is out. That might be the save of the year right there.
Maybe the decade. And I know we're short the end of this decade. But
yeah, we're early. It's still early.
I think there's a message about to be delivered here. This is racing for 7th place.
Yeah, that was a case that A.J. Allmendinger didn't feel like that Denny Hamlin was up there far enough. He was making his wide, normal arc into the corner. Denny thought I believe that he was going to be able to get that spot.
And from that shot, they went under the bridge right when the contact took place.
I'm telling you, you don't do that here normally. What a great job.
That was a heavy slide, but a nice save.
Look at the black mark.
Pit road open. You see none of the front runners are going to take, except Allmendinger, who's going to lose a lot of track position getting tires. We'll come back for the restart at Dover in the AAA 400. Pace car heads off. We get set for a restart here in chase race number 3 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover. This green flag restart presented by American Ethanol. Whoa. Look at how much Carl Edwards lost ground having to check up to avoid running over that 56 of Truex just in that one corner.
Yeah, you see a ton of give and take on that restart.
And I'm not sure if the 88 has a problem. I was watching him right before they got ready to go green. He actually pulled out of line, was weaving back and forth, and he's still losing spots.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's Edwards back by Kyle Busch. Carl in the 99 up to 3rd. Kyle to 4th. Denny Hamlin behind him in 5th. Couple of quick mentions. The 43 car, Allmendinger, all the way back to 43rd after pitting on the restart. And there you see Dale Jr. sliding back.
I think he feels like he may have a tire going down right here.
Looks like the right front corner was pretty low going through the corner there. Can't tell if it's going down or not.
All right, we'll keep an eye on Jr. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson.
Sometimes you get a little bit of that rubber buildup. We're here now that he may have a broken sway bar. That's why it looked like it was down, really rolled over through the corner.
I don't know if it's broken, but it sounds like that somebody didn't get the bolt tight in there, the nut tight on the bolt. And
that's exactly right.
Paul Menard, 27, slipping back some. Jimmy Johnson got through him. There's Greg Biffle in the 16, going to pass by Menard. That'll be for 7th place.
If you've ever seen the sway bar in these cars, it's about as big as an exhaust pipe, and you can't break them, but you can have a link failure, or you can leave that bolt loose.
39 car, safety saw there, so just hold all your controls with tension.
So Dale Jr. needing a caution. There is a competition caution planned by NASCAR for lap 40 to let all the teams get a look at the tires and the track conditions after the opening run. Carl Edwards by Truex for 2nd, 99 car on the move. But that's a long time for Junior to ride that out with that
Yeah, he's going to have to run about 28 more laps. So he's probably not going to stay on the lead lap, and hopefully not wear the splitter out on that right front corner.
One of the guys you thought would shake up the standings today, Carl Edwards, now through to second. As we look back, all the way back to see the differential, back to where Junior's kind of chugging along for the moment.
You can see from that shot right there that the sway bar is not hooked up. And it's just like you said, Dale, more than likely, 90% chance or more that they left a nut loose on the link.
Yeah.
You see, he knows he's got a problem right
this
there.
is what I saw, right, as they got ready to start. He knew he had a problem. You can see right there.
So Junior all the way back to 38th place, Doc.
Yeah, the problem, the sway bar not hooked up or else it was broken, snapped off. Crew here behind the wall working to try to get another one ready, and they told Junior, there's the crew left side of your screen, working to get another front sway bar ready to be able to put on the car. They had told Junior basically, do whatever you can without wrecking to stay on the lead lap here until lap 40 for the competition yellow. He has got his hands full right now trying to hang on. And to show you what this sway bar does, let's go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer.
Thanks, Doc. We seen this problem up in New Hampshire a couple of years ago with Kyle Busch. The bar goes through the car. The bar is not broken. Here's where the arm goes back. Now you've got a turnbuckle right here. And the last thing the guys do after they have all their height set is come in here and try to lock the nut down on the hind joint. Now either the bolt come out of it or this hind joint has come unloose. But that's letting the car really roll over. And without this, all the car is transferring all the weight over to the right side. Very difficult to drive right now for Earnhardt Jr. Guys?
All right, Tim, thanks. And really, sway bar is a shortened up version. What it really is an anti-sway bar. And that's why you see Junior's car flopping around like you did, or rolling over like you did. Anti-roll bar.
Yes.
Caution is out. There is a report of a light shower. Peppering, well, there it is, on the lens of the camera on Junior's car.
Yeah, and he was needing a little bit of rain right now for this to happen so they can work on this race car, get started prepared, because nothing good is going to come just staying out there running.
Oh, this is a big break. They can fix this. They get in the pits and have a extended caution here for a few raindrops. This can help them a ton. You see the sway bar arms right there we saw Tim Brewer show us. They're going to figure out what they need from this set of parts.
Their biggest problem is going to be being far back, and this only a 1 mile racetrack. Can they get this work done without losing a lap, Andy?
Well, even if they lose a lap, they have to fix it regardless. If they lose one, they'll likely get it back because they can race their way into the position here when this competition caution does come out.
Now, there are little bits of showers on the radar around the racetrack. Not heavy ones, not big ones, but little bits of them. There's only a 30% chance of a shower in the forecast, by the way.
Well, I think it's only raining on 30% of the track, Alan.
Is that what that meant?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So, second caution here, waving at lap 19. And pit road is open. Remember, with a competition caution still to come at lap 40, most of the front runners not taking.
And here's what that really means. You cannot take fuel until that competition caution.
18th place, David Reagan, the first one to head to pit road, and obviously Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be there as well. We'll follow up on the repairs to the 88 car and the other pit strategy under this caution when we come back to the Monster Mile. Back live at Dover International Speedway, Dale Earnhardt Jr. leaving pit road, rejoining the race. He'll be a lap down to the field after the repairs to that anti-roll bar on the front of his car, or more appropriately, the apparatus that holds it in place. You see the field coming off turn 4 for the restart, with Carl Edwards now alongside Kurt Busch on the front row coming to the green. Bobbled air for Truex in the 56. Kyle Busch to his outside of the 18.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a harder time making that outside lane work. You see Kyle Busch get a nice run off of turn 4. Now makes that pass on the inside.
That was interesting. He just backed that corner up to get the run off it, because I thought, wow, look at him fall back, and then boom.
A lot of different ways about going around making a pass on this racetrack, and until you get some rubber down in that second groove, it's going to be more difficult to make any speed up in that second lane.
Hamlin trying to move forward.
Hamlin's been moving forward the whole race since the start. He's got a good car, especially through the middle of the corner. Makes the pass easily there on Truex.
11 cars started 11th. He's up to 4th. Now Truex left the race with Biffle and Johnson and Menard behind him. And then this group of cars. That's Bobby Labonte in the 47 with Kevin Harvick, 29, trying to make his way forward.
Yeah, Harvick is very happy on Friday with his race car in race trim. Didn't get the qualifying effort that he was looking for, but felt like that he could make his way towards the front in this 400 miles.
It's already picked up 10 spots in this race. Harvick has. At the office with Kevin Harvick.
You can see just the difficulty right now as Greg Biffle goes by Martin Truex.
That's for 4th place.
Truex looks like he's chasing the back end a little bit. It's not going to be good. He'll lose quite a few spots like that.
Jimmy Johnson and company trying to find a way through.
These guys just won't cut you a break, Willie Dale, when your car's not handling.
Get up there, yeah, yes. Just like wolves, they attack as soon as they see any opportunity.
No, hang on there, Paul. Paul Menard. Little slide off turn 4. Already see how dark the racetrack's getting, but again, when your car is struggling for handling, I don't care how much rubber they put down, on this racetrack, you're really hanging on.
Yeah, you really hang. Yeah, it's just such a difficult racetrack to make a pass on. Just a lot of things going on.
All right, Dale Earnhardt Jr. saw him coming off the pit lane, back in 41st position, Doc.
And the deal was they were able to get the right front sway bar changed, and it was nothing left loose. It was nothing that was a human error. The base plate in the bracket snapped off. It broke. And so the team was disappointed that it had happened, but glad it wasn't something they had done or omitted doing as far as tightening the sway bar. They put another sway bar on. It has not been loaded properly, but Earnhardt Jr. trying to race his way back up to get the lucky dog to get a lap back.
You know, that is one thing, that this track is so hard on suspension parts because of all the vertical loads. And these teams build this stuff to be as light. Oh, man, look at Kenseth get loose.
Yeah.
They build these parts and pieces and cars to be as light as you can and build them to as close a tolerance. And so if you have something that's borderline, this track will find it and break it if you're not careful.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, Junior has about 3 cars in between himself and the car that's currently in the lucky dog spot, which is J.J. Yeley in the 38 car. But he is much faster right now.
Yeah, so that's to kind of finish up the 88 story. He has to catch J.J. Yeley to put himself in position. Meanwhile, the leader is going to be lapping some more guys at the pace he's setting, and that's going to make the task harder for the 88. Here comes Yeley, and Junior a little bit behind him. There's Junior. So Kurt Busch out in front. There's the gap. Carl Edwards hanging with him.
Carl said his Cup car was better than his Nationwide car was yesterday. He only led 179 of the 200 laps yesterday. So
only?
Yeah.
The lap times are still really fast. Watching these things, they're not falling off a lot from their fastest laps early in the race. And even though it's rubbering in, times are not slowing up.
4th and 5th place, Denny Hamlin, Greg Biffle, 11 and 16 with Jimmy Johnson right behind him in the 48.
I think Greg Biffle's going to have something to say about who wins this race here today. Look at him make a pass on the high side.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, just how that upper groove is coming in for Biffle.
Kind of a wave by a little bit.
Yeah, though. I think Denny gave him a little bit of that. As you see Hamlin slip up, now he's probably going to let Jimmy go by. It's like Denny may have just a little bit of a handling problem. His car really takes off, maybe not what he's looking for in the longer run.
So this is Dale Jr. passing J.J. Yeley and putting himself in position to get the free pass at the next caution.
Yeah, and there's a good chance that Kurt Busch is not going to catch another car to put it a lap down here, since we only have 4 laps before this competition yellow comes.
So Junior is really pulling for Joe Nemechek and Reed Sorensen to keep pace here.
Get the whip out. Let's go.
That's it. Come on, boys.
We can make those horse racing analogies here, can't we? The horse racing track inside of the stock car racing oval here at the Dover Complex, if you're not familiar. Jimmy Johnson working on Denny Hamlin still. This is 5th place.
You know, that 11 car took off big time at the start of the race and got a bunch of spots. It makes you wonder if maybe they didn't have the tires a little bit higher in air pressure so they could kind of pounce on these positions, but now they're having to pay the price.
That entry into turn 3 kind of looked awkward, at least from that camera angle. For Denny, talking about for the 11.
Yes. It's a good part of the race to be experimenting too with some different grooves and just see if you can find anything.
Here's the guy that's gained the most spots in the race so far in that 24 car, Jeff Gordon. Needing to have a good run, Jamie.
Yes, he does. Already gained 15 positions. And better yet, he came on the radio and said, we're pretty sporty by ourselves and we're pretty darn good. The plan was to get off pit sequence and stay out when the leaders came in, but they're making up so much track position on the track, they're having to rethink that now, Alan.
All right, Jamie, they'll have another chance for a little strategy call here shortly. As the competition caution expected.
Kurt Busch is closing in on Joe Nemechek.
This is critical for Dale Earnhardt Jr. that he does not get
caution.
There it is. So, it's like Junior did race his way back into that lucky dog spot.
Nice job by his pit crew to get all of that done and get him back out there.
All right, so a few different things to discuss here at this caution at lap 40. First of all, this driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., does get back onto the lead lap. Jr. with the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. First driver a lap down, so he'll come back around in 39th spot. Second item of discussion, split field. A lot of the guys pitted on that second caution at lap 20. The guys that pitted there in the back half of the field now, but strategy window open for them.
Yeah, it's Jamie McMurray, A.J. Allmendinger by making that early pit stop. Looks like Joey Logano and Brian Newman. They can take 2 tires here without a lot of penalty because they don't have many laps on the left side. I think you're going to see some of the other cars take 2 tires as well, so it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Time for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Fastest pit crew determined by the winner of each race. Fastest pit time, and you, the fans, vote. Text the car number to 234567 for your pit crew choice. Something else to watch for, pit exit. Contact between cars happens here at Dover all the time. We'll look for it. Doc?
And here's a 6-time winner, Jimmy Johnson. He said, I need a little bit of help on exit, a little free on exit. 4 tires, topping off with Sunoco fuel. Slight air pressure change, not much. Great pit stop away. Dave.
Denny Hamlin in the 11 reporting that it is just a little bit tight when he hits the throttle. 4 tire change, quarter down, right rear wedge, tape on the grill. Vince?
Kurt Busch came in as your leader, upper right-hand side. They took just 2 tires, no changes at all. 99, Carl Edwards, bottom of your screen. Edwards said he just needs it to turn a little bit better, and the race off pit road belonged to the 22, Kurt Busch.
All right, and as you look at our Longhorn Steakhouse race off pit road, there is the strategy play. Kozlowski, Martin, Allmendinger, big track position gains by some strategy under a competition caution here early in today's race at Dover. Coming to the green here at Dover, wrapping up the 3rd caution. Let's get some updates from pit road as we get set for the restart. Vince?
Well, the 18 of Kyle Busch came in. He took 4 tires. He had a little bit of front end damage early in the race. They thought they wanted to take a good close look at that. Not anything to be concerned about, but he does need a little bit more rear grip, according to Kyle. Alan?
Kyle, the first one on 4 fresh tires off this restart, taking the green in 6th position.
Had a 12.4-second stop on those 4 tires, too, for the 18 team, so looks like they're on it today.
That big 3M logo coming at you. Greg Biffle had all kind of trouble getting off turn 2.
Yeah, lost a lot of ground there, stacked them up behind him.
Seems to have regrouped. And Kyle Busch by Truex for 4th. One of the guys we said needed to have a good day today. Here's another one who wanted to shake up the standings today. Carl Edwards in the 99, hunting for the race lead. Quite.
Yeah, Carl's just so good on these concrete surfaces. You know, it is a different feel as a driver as to what you actually, the feel you get from your car and what you're looking for. And Carl seems to adapt to that as well as anyone in this field.
He just gets so close but can't quite get alongside.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure there. You know, you can do that. You can get close enough that change the handling characteristics of that car in front of you without ever touching him. Getting such a good run off the corner. That's where Carl Edwards right now is good. He's going to make the pass now.
Finally put enough pressure on him
to maybe change the handling of that 22 car.
Here comes Keselowski, though. He's closed up with these 2 leaders.
Well, you're going to slow down a little bit in this scenario. He still couldn't make the pass.
On board Keselowski. David Ruderman 00. Denny Hamlin 11. Farther back in the field, 12th place.
It looks like the handling on the 11's not quite as good as what it was at the beginning of the race that Andy was talking about.
Yeah, it just went away. I thought maybe it was just because he put some laps on the tires. Whoa, man. Check that out.
And for the lead. He's got him this time.
Racing everywhere.
So Carl Edwards out in front.
Hey, you better get going because there's 4 tires on that 18 car coming at him.
And Jimmy Johnson picking up a spot there. That's 5th place on the 48 car. Update on 5 time from Doc.
Who, by the way, is also a 6-time winner here. How does he do it? Well, they think about what's going to happen on this racetrack and plan ahead. Listen in to this.
22, 99, 56, 2, 5. All took 2 tires. You're going to eat their lunch. Nice.
Chad Knaus walked up and down pit road during the nationwide race yesterday and watched what happened when guys changed 2 tires versus 4 tires. That's why he's very confident they're going to be in really good shape with 4 fresh Goodyears, guys.
All right, Doc. In a lot of folks' minds, this Dover a must-have race. Jimmy himself said, we need a top 3 finish here at Dover this weekend.
Well, with their history here, if they don't run in the top 3, then that tells us this team isn't as strong as what it has been in the past.
Recoveries.
Yeah. And this is a racetrack that we talked about on Friday. Great track for A.J. Allmendinger. A couple years ago, led a lot of laps here. And it just seems to have taken to this high bank concrete surface that, well, we can't even call it a spin. I don't know what it was, but it's a great save for sure. But he's doing a nice job moving back up towards the front, Dave.
Yeah, I called it save, DJ. That was big time when he got tapped by the 11 car early. They have recovered. They've hit it a couple of times. And as you said, AJ runs so well here. I saw him this morning. He said, I have high expectations of myself here. He led, I think it was 143 laps here last year, and he knows how to get around here. Now he's got track position again, back into the top 10.
Allmendinger racing for 7th spot when he got tapped by Denny Hamlin. Just 5 laps into the race. Went all the way back to 43rd place. Remember, they took just the right side tires on the pit stop. As Dave was talking about the strategy there, 43 working their way back forward.
Yeah, you can call it a spin or you can call it whatever you want. I call it a big wreck that didn't happen. I mean, he was all over the place.
Denny Hamlin looking like he's struggling in this segment of the race.
I don't know what's going on with that car right now.
Yeah, he was talking about his car's really tight kind of on the landing. And even though these cars, it's literally not coming out from under them, it's so difficult when you go into these corners. If that splitter's hitting or it doesn't feel right, it makes it difficult. Dave, what are they saying about this 11 car?
Well, DJ, it's interesting because in the early part of the run where you guys noted that he was running very well, he said that all of the issues that they had in practice were gone. And it was later, as they got closer to the first pit stop, that he said, I'm tight when the car lands. So as we said, they made that slight wedge adjustment. Then he's still trying to find the exact handle for this afternoon. Remember, this track is much different.
It's much different when it rubbers up, too, and that might be the issue they're dealing with right now. Great on a green racetrack, but as that rubber builds up, not so good.
We'll keep an eye on Hamlin and the condition of the corners of the track as that rubber works its way into this concrete surface. We're keeping an eye on Carl Edwards. He leads early in the AAA 400 at Dover. There is the leader here at Dover International Speedway in the chase race number 3. Carl Edwards out in front in the 99 car. Took the lead from Kurt Busch just after a restart a little while ago. We take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. As Jimmy Johnson works his way around Brad Keselowski to pick up the 4th position. We'll mention that Johnson has led the most laps in the last 5 Dover races. Been a really good track for him. And Kurt Busch has led the most laps so far today. Kurt, starting on the outside of the front row, has led 46 of the 68 laps. Get closer to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Kevin Harvick making some noise so far. In this race, Tony Stewart making the most noise in this chase so far. Tony Stewart is back in 19th position, and this was a race that concerned them. They have not run very well throughout the weekend. Doc, what's your early report on this 14?
Well, Tony said early on, Alan, he said, you know, we're better than I thought we would be. We're not as good as some, but we're not nearly as bad as others. And the deal was to try to get some track position from Darian Grubb. You mentioned he started 28. He had driven up to 24th when the yellow came out for the competition caution and picked up. They put on 2 right side tires and came off of pit road in 16th spot. So he gained 8 positions to try to get a little bit of track position. Now he's lost a couple of those spots since then, running on 2 right side tires, but much better right now for Smoke than he thought he would be early on here at Dover.
I don't think there's any idea that he has to be somewhat happy. They made a lot of changes to the car, and they seriously were thinking a top 15 here today would be really, really good and give them an excellent chance at this championship.
Got 3 of the championship guys running right together there. Matt Kenseth, 17, Tony Stewart, 14, Jeff Gordon, 24, and this is in 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Yeah, you see just behind this group, Jeff Gordon now moved to the outside of Tony Stewart. He's got one of the better cars in the field and starting to make his way back up.
And they're all going to get one position here because our pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr. in this 56 is really struggling. Has his hands full right now.
After the restart, after the pit stop, they took just right, Vince, and this 56 started up front.
Yeah, they've really been struggling from the get-go. This car's been going backwards, and that's a real disappointment for Martin Truex Jr., as you mentioned, starting on the pole. His home track, he's from nearby New Jersey, had high expectations, but his car just has not been handling the way he wants. Too much wheel in it, too tight in the center. It is not good for the 56 here in the early going.
Started on the pole for the beginning of the race, restarted 4th when we went green, and that was just at lap 46.
Yeah, we're watching these 2 tires, the cars that have 2 tires, working pretty well. You got Carl Edwards out front on 2 tires with Kurt Busch behind him on 2, and then the 18 car has 4 in 3rd.
You can see in our shot there, too, another car just came by, as we see our leader, Carl Edwards, 71 a lap down, but Dale Jr. is making his way forward. Car looks like hooking that sway bar back up there in pretty good shape.
Jr. up to 24th position after restarting 35th. Carl Edwards trying to win a championship. He's come close before. He says he thinks he and crew chief Bob Osborne have an idea what they need to do to make it happen.
Well, we've lost a championship every year that we've been in it. No, we figured out a lot of ways to mess up. So hopefully Bob and I can go out there and get the job done. He's a great guy. I mean, we get along like brothers. You know, we love each other, but we fight and argue and at the end of the day, though, we always are moving forward. And it's really a great relationship.
Carl and Bob been together for a while, and I get interested in hearing them discuss their relationship because their personalities are certainly opposite. Carl is very verbose. Bob is reserved.
Carl is bringing Bob around a little bit, though. We've seen him lighten up a lot, and I think Carl's made a lot of headway with Bob.
Yeah. What's that old saying? Opposites attract? Not that they're totally opposite, but they're pretty far apart, and it works nicely for them.
And we talked a lot already today about Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, their relationship. Heard from each of them in NASCAR Countdown. The exchange they had on the radio in New Hampshire last week compared to some we hear between Bob and Carl and so on.
Yeah, this is two guys that are a lot alike, and sometimes that can cause some conflicts here and there, but they sure have had the success.
Solid run so far for Jimmy Johnson in the car prepared by Chad Knaus. He's in 4th position behind Edwards and the Busch brothers. 80 laps in the books of 400 at Dover. Approaching the 1/4 mark of today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Dover's Monster Mile, the 99 car, Carl Edwards, is the leader, one of 6 different drivers that have paced this event so far. Kurt Busch, from the outside of the front row, paced most of the early going. Pole sitter Martin Truex Jr. also out in front for a couple of laps. Just 3 cautions so far, one of them a competition caution, one for a little rain shower. And the championship standings are very, very tight as they run. There's the gap, first back to second. Kurt Busch started on the outside of the front row, running second.
Yeah, just that 2-tire change here. I don't think it totally agreed with his car, but still running very solid.
His little brother Kyle, first off pit road before with 4 tires on that pit stop, and he's running third. And he's got some company. That 16 car, Greg Biffle, is right there in 4th.
Yeah, that thing's come alive here. It took Biffle's car, looked like about 20 laps to really get going. He's marching forward right now.
And just behind them, Jimmy Johnson, who just gave up a spot to Greg Biffle, the 5-time champ, in 5th position at Dover. Watch Jimmy Johnson's helmet in reference to the headrest here.
Yeah, you can see how much vertical load there is in this racetrack. As soon as Jimmy goes down into these high bank corners, all that compression sinks his body down in the seat. You see he's just planted down in the seat through the corner. As they hit the straightaway, then all those forces kind of release. You can kind of see him come up in the seat and then back down again when they go in the corner. It's got to be a physical strain on the driver.
Yeah, this is a tough racetrack, and what we're not seeing there is a lateral load that it puts on your neck, the strain that you have there, really wanting to throw your head and helmet to the right side. So you have to be in good shape, and that's why Jimmy Johnson does well here, because he works hard in the gym.
Jimmy running in 5th as we go up to speed. Doc?
You saw a moment ago Jimmy Johnson going in the corner. You see how he rolls out and gets the car on the bottom of the racetrack? He said the car is getting free when he crosses that strip of rubber. He said he has to roll out and get below the rubber, and that helps the car. But when he crosses that rubber on the track, the car is getting freer and freer on landing. That's why he gave that spot up. Dave.
Doc, Brad Keselowski took 2 tires on that last stop, picked up 10 positions on pit road. And remember, these cars don't have onboard computers sending data back to the crew chief, so the driver does it.
I'm about a 1-3 on entry, not bad. 1/3 is okay, not great, but okay. And then late center, like right in here, I'm just a little weak with the front end. And then on exit, initial throttle, I blow through my front grip with a late exit snap as I merge to the wall.
Incredible data. Crew Chief Paul Wolf then said, how are you from the first run? He said, a little less stable in, but better ride quality, and that can equal speed. Speaking of speed, we already said A.J. Allmendinger loves this place. In fact, last week, Crew Chief Greg Irwin told me that while they were at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, all he could do was talk about the Dover setup. What I do here. He said he was very animated about it, wanted to talk all weekend about it, and Greg's done the best he can to give him that setup, running very well so far. Doc?
And speaking of running very well, how about a call for the 00 of David Rudeman, a team that really needs a good run. They have run well, but not gotten the finishes they would like. In fact, the 00 has finished 26th or worse the last 5 races, only one top 10 the last 16, but they started 14th. They had a 4-tire change. They're now finding themselves moving up to 8th position. David said the car a little bit loose on exit. Jamie.
And Kevin Harvick battling with Mark Martin to move into the 9th position. He did clear him. Now this morning walking up and down the garage, many crew chiefs pointing at the 29 saying they were very stout. So I asked Dale Martin, the crew chief, and he said, of all the chase tracks we go to, this is the toughest. No matter what anybody says about us, we have our work cut out for us.
Our in-race race reporter Mark Martin running in the 10th position now in the green number 5. The car was a little loose on that last run. Oh, this could make it even looser if they go 3 wide. They took 2 tires, and Mark felt that may just handle the handling situation. They made no changes, but it is still a little free, and now you see Casey Kane going by both the 27 of Menard and trying to get by Martin. Jamie?
Hats off to Marco Sampo. Started the day 12th and perked a lot of people's eyes up. His car has been pretty good. He's a little bit loose. This team is one that is desperate for a good finish. They finished 15th, actually 19th or worse, 5 of the last 6 races. This could be a good track for him. So far, just a little loose, a little free. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. Long green run here. Leaders put several cars a lap down, including the pole sitter, Martin Truex Jr. Coming up on green flag pit stops, expect them in another 10 laps or so. Joey Logano now falling prey to race leader Carl Edwards. As we're through a quarter of the distance at the Monster Mile today, some early excitement. A.J. Allmendinger with a huge save early in the race. Crew chief trying to figure out what the right strategy is. This week on ESPN's Monday Night Football, Dwight Freeney leads a strong Indianapolis Colts defense against Josh Freeman and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Colts Bucks on ESPN's Monday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern. Also available live on Watch ESPN. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Beginning to see some drivers head to pit road, Dave.
He gave up the 7th position, Allen, a tight race car that needs 4 tires, fuel, and a track bar adjustment. Best Buy crew going to work to make that happen. Sunoco fuel going into the left rear side. A good pit stop for these guys. Doc?
David Bruderman in about 5 laps before he was expected to come in. Said the car is very, very free on exit. Track bar adjustment, small air pressure change, 4 tires, and topping off with Sunoco fuel. Impressive run so far for him. Vince.
You see the 1 car of Jamie McMurray making his way to pit lane, pitting all the way down, almost to pit out. The crew going over. He's been fighting loose throughout the course of the day, in and off. He had a chassis adjustment there in the right rear. It's a 4-tire change for Bono Mannion's crew and Jamie McMurray. Now the 56 of Martin Truex Jr. started on the pole, but what a tough day it has been for them, fighting handling issues throughout the course. They've slipped back to running around the 20th position. Again, a 4-tire change for the 56 of Truex. Doc?
4-car in. Casey Kane making an adjustment. Air pressure change. Casey said his car getting a little bit loose on entry. Tighter in the middle and loose off. So making air pressure change only. Casey down a tick under 15 seconds. Dave.
There's the 5-car of Mark Martin. We had talked earlier about that car being just a little bit loose. They're making some adjustments, a 4-tire change this time for Martin.
And Kevin Harvick and his black and pink green Chevrolet, air pressure adjustment, fill it up with Sunoco fuel, no adjustments in the back. The car has been pretty good. Vince?
The 22 of Kurt Busch, he's led a lot of laps today, but Busch wasn't particularly happy. They made a chassis adjustment, an air pressure, and 4-tire change on the 22. Now the 99 of Carl Edwards comes in after being the leader. Edwards says it's a little bit free, but he and crew chief Bob Osborne had a long discussion about whether they should make any changes. They decided a half a round a wedge just to snug up Edwards a tick. It's a 4-tire change for the 99, Jamie.
And the 17 of Matt Kenseth has been charging his way forward, says he's mostly too tight, complaining of low grip, air pressure adjustment, and wedge, 4 tires as well. Jeff Gordon is now in his pit box. They wanted this green flag stop, want to get 4 tires here. They were worried about where they were pitted this week on pit road because they qualified so poorly and jacked up the left side. They'll put on the other 2 tires. Vince?
Matt Fuchsia has given Greg Biffle another good race car this week. They had a strong run last week in New Hampshire. It's just a little bit snug and a tick free off. 4-tire change and air pressure for the 16. Doc.
Jimmy Johnson coming in for his second scheduled stop. The car, remember, is free on landing. They will make a track bar adjustments in the car. Just free when I go across the rubber on the racetrack. Right side tires on, left side tires on. No issues so far. They've already made the track bar adjustments. Go again on the left side and get it full of fuel. He's away.
All right, that's for the most part going to complete the cycle of pit stops among the leaders. Greg Biffle and Brad Keselowski coming back to pit road. Keselowski to complete the cycle of stops. Biffle for a pass-through penalty because the first time he tried to come to pit road,
yeah, he got
didn't work
way
out
too
so well.
much. He tried to get way too much to get to the entrance of pit road and made the commitment cone, but then could not make pit road. Had to go back out on the track. Dave?
Just double checking, they are coming to pit road for the first time during this cycle. Remember, Brad had been running in the 6th position. He did stay out and lead a lap. The car this time, we heard the lengthy description. Paul Wolf, his crew chief, asked if it was still the same, and it was, so he will get a wedge and air pressure adjustment on the 2 car. He is out of here.
All right, Dave, so that completes the cycle of pit stops for the race leaders. It puts Carl Edwards back out in front.
A bad break for Biffle. You know, he was running his way towards the front and just tried to get too much there.
And let's show you what happened to Greg Biffle when he tried to come to pit road for his stop the first time.
See, he gets down there off the track and he's made the commitment cone, but he's just got too much speed. He can't make that entrance.
So because he went below the commitment line but didn't go to pit road, there the pass-through penalty for the Biff, and that's going to drop him way back in the field. We'll update his status when we come back to Dover's Monster Mile.
Back at Dover, 124 laps now complete, and we said before, the points will change after this race. As they run right now, Carl Edwards is your points leader. Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, then Kyle Busch in the top 5.
Yeah, Carl Edwards, we talked about this being one of his best racetracks, and he told us before the race started that I love my car, the way it's handled, it's looking good. And Brad, I tell you what, Dale Jarrett was right. He said this points thing is going to get scrambled up, and right now it is. And Tony Stewart, all the way back to 4th right now.
Boy, Tony's really struggling, and DJ's right on it. Carl Edwards is so strong right now. It's funny, though, the fastest car on the track continually, though, has been Dale Earnhardt Jr., so he's getting ready to go a lap down if he's not careful, so he really needs to make up some track.
Yeah, one thing I will say before we quit here is that Jeff Gordon is on the move, too. He started 28th, and he's already at the 11th right now. His lap times are really, really good. In fact, they're top 5, top 3 speeds so far all day long.
Yeah.
But you're right about Dale Earnhardt Jr. Big problems early, but he's looking good now.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for the guy who kicked off this chase, Alan, with 2 straight wins, you're going to have to go all the way back to 24th. Both Stewart-Haas racing cars. Ryan Newman, 23rd. Tony Stewart in 24th.
Yeah, and lost a lap to the leader in that exchange of green flag pit stops is the important fact there. So Stewart and Newman both losing a lap to Carl Edwards during the shuffle of green flag stops, and that's going to hurt them. Also during the green flag pit stops, we saw the Greg Biffle penalty. Biff was running 4th at the time. He's 31st, a lap down. Ouch.
No, we talk all the time, whether you're involved in the chase or not, you can't make mistakes and give yourself a chance to win these races. It's just the competition's too close. Big mistake by Biffle. See if they can make it up throughout the day.
That is out the back bumper of Dale Jr.'s car. And that's the race leader.
Yeah, a few laps there in that run. Junior did have the fastest car. It's obvious, though, that Carl's had the fastest car over the long run.
Haven't been with us the whole time. Dale Jr., early in the race, had a sway bar arm mount on the front end of his car fail. He limped around for a period waiting for a caution with the car kind of flopping back and forth on that front end. They lost a lap making repairs on a pit stop dock, and now they're trying to hang on to the lead lap again.
And Alan, it's about as good as I've ever heard Dale Jr. talk about a race car. He has got a race car, folks. He went back and restarted 35th after losing that lap. Got the lucky dog, as you said. And now on the pit stop a moment ago, he said, don't change a thing. We've got ourselves a race car here now, trying to hang on in front of Carl Edwards right there. But Dale Jr. thinks he's got a car that could be a top 10 contender, if not better, if he can get some track position. Right now, he's got a mirror full of Carl Edwards.
Now, I want to balance out the two seemingly conflicting points of information here. How Junior's got a good car, but he's about to go a lap down. That 88 could be good, but that 99 car is a rocket today.
Yeah, and you get some different things here. Junior's having to battle every one of these cars. Talk about going back to 35th. He's had to pass all of these without the benefit of a move-over flag or anything like that. Carl Edwards has a fast race car, but he's getting the benefit of the flagman giving some of these cars a move-over flag that the leader is coming. So you can have a good car, and it makes it more difficult. And this move-over flag that I'm talking about is for the leader coming, it gives cars that he's trying to put another lap down or lap down the message that, hey, here comes the leader for you, and it's displayed to those cars that are getting lapped.
Blue flag with a yellow stripe across it. It is a courtesy flag. It's not a must flag. That would be shown by the starter when the leader.
Depends on how much courtesy you want to show sometimes.
I guess we'll call it a warning.
And going that first lap down, you're not going to show a lot of courtesy.
How about the leader, Vince? Really is a rocket today.
It is indeed, and maybe the biggest issue for the 99 so far has just been that lap traffic. You saw him get around McMurray a moment ago, and his spotter was warning Carl, be careful, that one's got his hands full, encouraging Carl to be patient through this traffic and take care of his race car. There's no doubt he's got a fast one, but they got to get it to the end. So far, so good for the 99.
So good that Edwards has now led the most laps in this race. He's been out in front for 79 of the 136 laps that are about to be completed today here at Dover. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch coverage live from Dover today. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. So the pattern at Dover has changed in recent years. We've seen long green flag runs. That looks like Casey Mears. And wow, 32 car Mike Bliss just about collected him. Caution is out for the slow-moving 13 car.
I think he may have blown a tire. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there.
Watch that right
front. I see some debris. I thought I saw some debris coming out of this car.
And his problem, because of the field being spread out, he wasn't going to have a chance to get back down, or he was going to take a dangerous move to possibly make that happen and create a bad situation.
See the scuff marks on the right side of Mike Bliss's car. Did a great job, though, not to hit Casey.
It could have been ugly, though. Ooh, really ugly.
See right here, he's just trying to stay out of the way Casey Mears was in this 13. Here comes Mike Bliss. It's like, whoa, where did that car come from?
Just gets against the wall there.
Yeah, there's no grip up there. There's all that dust and everything, all the dirt off the bottom of the racetrack goes to the top, so Mike has hardly no grip. That was a great job right there.
That was something. So this is the 4th caution of the race. Leaders all just finished a cycle of green flag pit stops at lap 114, 115. But I expect we'll see them all in again, and we may see a lot of strategy here. Let's see what kind of strategy we do see, Doc.
48 car Jimmy Johnson really didn't have any significant complaints, and he was hitting the splitter though, and he had to back off and get a rhythm so he wouldn't hit the splitter on landing. Right side tires for the 48. Dave.
5th place, A.J. Allmendinger. He says right now the car is really good, especially fires off good. After 25 laps, a little bit tight, but he said, I wouldn't change a thing. They're going to give him 4 tires and fuel. Vince.
Kurt Busch, upper right-hand side. Crew chief Steve Addington wanted 2 tires. Kurt Busch wanted 4. You see the call. They went for 2. Carl Edwards, bottom of your screen, also took 2 and a slight chassis adjustment. He says it's just a bit snug.
Strategy played there. Strategy played by one other team who did not pit under this caution to try and get a little track position. Looks like Jeff Burton stayed out. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award currently being led by Kevin Harvick's team, but you can help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone by texting the car number to 234-567 for the pit crew you think is fastest and most valuable. Little extended stay on pit road for Denny Hamlin, working on a car that they've struggled with a little bit. Follow up on that story and have the restart when we come back to the Monster Mile. Back in 1969, they opened a dual-purpose facility in the capital city of Delaware. Horse racing track on the inside, auto racing track on the outside. And from July 6, 1969, when they had a 300-miler won by the King, Richard Petty, this racetrack has grown and grown and grown over the years. Yes, presently it is struggling with some of the same economic challenges every racetrack and sporting venue is, and trying to fill all of its seats, but still a good crowd on hand today at a very popular racetrack among drivers and fans, the Dover International Speedway, for race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Getting set to go back racing, Jeff Burton will be the leader by not pitting Carl Edwards. First off pit road, Vince.
It's been a good car for Carl today, but Bob, what's been your reaction to the 2 tires versus the 4 tires?
We're just trying to keep track position. The car does handle a little bit different for us on 2 over 4, but just what we got to do to stay up front, I think.
So far, so good, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. Carl to restart on the outside of Jeff Burton. Jimmy Johnson giving some feedback a minute ago.
I know the rubber laying down is a bit tricky. It's picked up again here. Most of it's all gone again. 10-4. I just found it interesting. We pitted under green, and the first few laps I was nervous about going that fast and running across the black. Nothing happened, and then it was good for a long time. And I guess it's tire pressure related. Once the tires get pumped up, the tire doesn't have any dampening left when you run over those black patches.
Good feedback there from the 5-time champ as we go racing. Edwards clears Burton to the lead. Kyle Busch goes to second. Let me mention 7 cars took a wave around before this restart. 3 to get back on the lead lap. Regan Smith, Greg Biffle, and David Gilliland. Matt Kenseth 17, Brad Keselowski 2. That's for 6th place.
And we expected to see Matt Kenseth show his hand here sometime as this race went along, but kind of in Matt fashion, just taking his time getting there.
I think there's 2 cars that are going to wind up making their way to the front, being a factor before the day's over, and that is Matt Kenseth and Jeff Gordon. We've seen Jeff, he came from way back in the field, had to pass a lot of cars. He did do a 2-tire stop that last stop and gained a few spots, and now he's inside the top 10.
Can I ask on what basis you offer that prognostication?
Absolutely can. I've been watching the monitor, and he's had one of the consistent top 3 cars in lap times all day, so that means he's going to be up there at some point.
I knew you'd have an answer for me. Jimmy Johnson rolling through, picking up a spot. That'll be 4th place for Johnson.
Yeah, and keep an eye on this 22 now. We've made a few pit stops. This car's been pretty solid, but the one thing that they've had a difficult time doing this year is keeping up with the changing conditions of a track. See the 22 a little bit sideways off of turn 2 there.
That's one thing you see, this team has just struggled with late in the race of getting their car where it needs to be, as good as it was, say, in the beginning of the race. Had a good car so far in the beginning of this one. We'll see how it winds up for him.
It's Kevin Harvick, 29, Clint Boyer, 33, the 4 of Casey Kane. And I'm watching that 43 car, A.J. Allmendinger. He was the first one that changed 4 tires on the pit stop, in line on the restart. He was 11th on the restart, and he's lost a couple of spots on the break.
I actually think that sometimes on the restarts here, the left side tires are pumped up, the right sides come up a little bit quicker for those cars that just get 2 tires. I think they're at an advantage for a few laps as Jimmy Johnson goes for 3rd. Jeff Burton, who got no tires that last time, decided to stay on the track.
Yeah, Jeff Burton's crew chief, Luke Lambert, made that call to get them back up front and see if they can use that track position. It's Luke's 29th birthday today.
So young.
Yeah, I know. A lot of years ahead of him here as a crew chief.
Brian Vickers in that 83 was the free pass recipient at that last caution to get back onto the lead lap. Tony Stewart had just been on pit road under the green, did not stay out under the caution to get a wave around and come back on the lead lap.
That's kind of puzzling to me. I mean, Dale and I both kind of looked at each other like, why wouldn't you take that opportunity now to try to get that lap back? We saw Biffle do it, and we'll see how it works out for him, but I just thought that was a good opportunity that they kind of passed on.
Yeah, he and his teammate Ryan Newman, who is right in front of Tony on the track, both chose that. I thought we might see them stay out there. Here comes Kurt Busch going by Jeff Burton.
That's 4th place for Kurt. Yep. Talked to Matt Kenseth this morning, Jamie, and he seemed pretty positive about his chances for a great run today.
He really was, and so is Jimmy Fennig, his crew chief. But, Matt is the first one to say this is his favorite track. Now, what is the car doing right now as you see Jeff Burton all over the back of him? He says it's awful in traffic. We're aero tight, but it's pretty good. Pretty good. That web adjustment was great. Little strategy there. They took 2 tires on the last stop, Alan.
He's solving some of that traffic problem by passing these guys. He's getting more clean air to his nose and doing it himself.
Another guy who had great hopes of having a good run today, Marcos Ambrose in that 9 car. Finished 3rd here in the race in May. He's one of the teams that made the call for just right sides on the last pit stop, gained in some track position, which he held for the rest of the race. And Marcos loves this racetrack. It's a place where you can really feel the speed and feel the challenge.
This would be one of the most opposite tracks that you would think of that Marcus would be good on. Such a great road racer. And this is almost the opposite of road racing at this high bank concrete track. But he's got a crew chief that knows what he's doing when it comes to strategy too, Dale.
Yeah, Todd Parrott does a great job with that. And also I think that one thing that plays into Marcus's hand is he's a pretty aggressive driver, and you're rewarded for that, just like we see Jimmy Johnson here. And what I'm seeing, some cars that really like this 2 tires, and I'm seeing this 48 car kind of liking the 2 tire change here with some adjustments they've made, really moving forward right now.
Yeah, because he got 4 tires after the competition caution and really didn't charge to the front. He maintained real well, but he didn't charge to the front. We see him now kind of going forward.
Trying to put the press on Kyle Busch for the runner-up spot. NASCAR fans voted at sprint.com/speed on the driver they wanted us to go on board with, and Kyle Busch was the top choice today. So we go on board now with our Evo Cam and ride with Kyle.
Okay, hang on. You're riding with Kyle. You better hang on tight.
Hear that?
See that big bump, how they get in the corner there?
Hey, see right there how Jimmy Johnson really getting in the gas in the center of the corner, able to gain on Kyle Busch coming up out of the corner.
Get closer to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. I was interested when we were riding on board with Kyle when he came up off the corner. You heard the sound of the engine just change up a little bit just as that car broke traction. That can't be a good feeling.
It is not a good feeling, but he does a great job of handling it there. I believe he's going to let Jimmy Johnson go for this second spot right now.
Pretty smart racing at this point.
Well, they got about a half a straightaway to make up to gain on Carl Edwards. Yeah, that little dot way out there in the front is the race leader. Past 150 miles of today's 400-miler at the Monster Mile.
Where winners are celebrated, champions are crowned, and legends are born. Home of the biggest events in motorsports, ESPN and ABC.
And on the home of the biggest events in motorsports, we got a lot of motorsports to talk about, including the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals Finals coming up on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern tonight. NASCAR Now post-race wrap-up late night tonight, 10 Eastern time, ESPN2. And our Monday roundtable at 2:30 Eastern. We'll talk about all the issues and events in this chase and this race on Monday. Next weekend, it's on to the Kansas Speedway. Fast mile and a half in Kansas City. Nationwide Series Saturday, 3 Eastern, ESPN2. And our coverage of Race 4 in the chase for the Sprint Cup is presented by Dodge next Sunday, 1 Eastern on ESPN. ESPN Live today at Dover, Delaware's Monster Mile, working toward the halfway point of Race 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Carl Edwards in that 99 car has dominated. That's the gap from Carl back to Jimmy Johnson in second place. Jimmy is closing in a little bit. Here's the race for third. Matt Kenseth, 17, Kurt Busch, 22. Wasn't a race for long.
Now Matt's able to make that pass. Like Kurt struggled a little bit with the 2 tires that they put on this last time, but still okay. Well in contention. Vince, what's Kurt Busch saying about his car now?
The 22 of Kurt Busch, they've been working on the car. He said it's a little bit better after that last stop, but leaning on his teammate Brad Keselowski in that 2 car a little bit today too.
Hello, Chris, with the front tires. Late. Let's find out what the 2 car does to make adjustments to make the car better during the race.
That's the advantage of having a teammate in the chase, especially one who, well, actually has been running a little bit better than you. So you take it where you can get it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, get all the information you can. Never know when it might work to your advantage.
Kurt led 46 laps today so far. Again, running in the 5th position for the moment. Brad Keselowski right behind him.
Yeah, when you talk about Kurt Busch struggling at the last half of the races and not making good adjustments, it might not be that simple. Sometimes you got a setup or a combination of your setup that just doesn't lend itself to when the track rubbers in, and you may not be able to adjust for it.
Yeah, but you might want to ask somebody what you do for a loose race car, sideways as that thing was.
If Allmendinger was the save of the year, this might be the second save of the day.
Yeah, that's pretty good there.
Without getting out of the gas.
And that's just the horsepower that these Sprint Cup cars have.
See,
how
Brad did it that
difficult
time.
it is. A lot of times that second car behind is actually losing the nose, and you have to give a little more wheel because you're afraid you're going to hit it with the front end, and the back end kicks out. I think Kurt Busch's car there, the 22, is just literally loose up out of the corner.
A little deeper in the field, a couple of guys who started deep in the field have made some nice progress today. Kevin Harvick, 22nd. Harvick up to 11th place. And Jeff Gordon in this 24 car started. Caution is out. Back to that thought in a minute. Report of debris in turn number 3 has put the yellow out. And that 16 car, 3M, coming through the screen. Huge break for Greg Biffle.
Boy, they took a chance there, taking the wave around that last time. He has a fast race car and made it work there, able to get this caution back on the lead lap for Greg Biffle.
Just a couple of laps before they were going to need to pit under the green. Timing's everything.
Yes.
Speaking of timing, how about being the first car a lap down when the caution comes out? Pretty good for David Gilliland. He's the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. So Gilliland coming back around onto the lead lap. He's in 22nd place. So do a little math here. Everybody just on pit road at lap 138. This is just shy of 40 laps later when they'll pit next time. More
in the middle of the cycle, but you see a lot of cars changed 2 tires last time. That's got the crew chiefs going, well, you know, we need 4 here. The ones that changed 4, now they can think about 2.
Jimmy Johnson will be one of the first to get to his pit stall because he's pitted all the way down at pit entry. Back in the hook inside of turn number 4, while Carl Edwards will be one of the last to hit. He's all the way down at pit exit, down in turn 1. Here they come, Doc.
And Jimmy Johnson's request, very simple, guys. Keep the balance the same, but I can use a little more grip. So we're going to go a half a round on the track bar. No air pressure change. Right side tires and then left side tires. Remember, right side only on the previous stop. Jamie.
And Matt Kenseth, who's driven all the way up to 4th, says he's a little bit tight now. Pretty good overall. Let's make an air pressure adjustment and try 4 tires this time. Dave?
Brad Keselowski needs a car full of Sunoco fuel. The car this time a little tight to center and snappy loose off to make an air pressure adjustment, and 4 tires this time. Vince?
Carl Edwards really likes his car. They're going to make a 4-tire change this time. He said, since you're going to 4, why don't you snug it up a little bit? So they made a slight air pressure adjustment. A.J. Allmendinger, the first one off pit road.
Yeah, Vince, going to see some strategy. Check it out. Allmendinger, Harvick, Ruderman. So we'll have a new leader when we go back racing here at Dover.
Pressure. Pressure keeps us honest. You push hard enough, you can achieve anything.
Oh, what a save!
That was a save.
Pressure is driving so fast your focus is 500 feet up the road.
Carl Edwards in the 99, hunting for the race lead.
Pressure? When is there not pressure? Pressure's good. Without it, people would achieve nothing.
I like that. Pressure. Little restart pressure here as we go back racing, shy of halfway at Dover. A.J. Allmendinger, 43. Kevin Harvick, 29 for the lead. A couple of teams that played some strategy on their pit stops and took rights only. Oh, trouble. Bobby Labonte off turn 2. Caution. How did that not get uglier than it was?
It's hard to do here.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Oh, thought there was a hole there. David Reagan happened to be there. Just a little contact with the inside wall on the left front fender.
From Tony Stewart.
See, it looked like he had a hole, and Reagan got a good run and closed it up real quick on him.
And I'm sure that his spotter probably told him there was a hole there, but by the time Bobby made that move, David Reagan had filled that spot.
Bobby was 25th at the time.
Front end held up pretty well with that lick he took on the inside wall.
And caution going to work out well for Jamie McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya, who took the wave around to get back on the lead lap. By staying out on that yellow, they're going to be able to come in and pit and be right back in cycle. Now, a couple of guys on that last set of pit stops that had a couple of hiccups. First of all, watch Brad Keselowski right rear here, Andy.
You see the right rear tire changer, he doesn't get all the lug nuts off on the first attempts, and that really does throw you off on your rhythm. They do a really good job, though, of recovering on this pit stop and not losing any more spots than they did.
Fell from 6th to 10th on the pit stop.
A lot of times that will really throw you off mentally, and you kind of mess up on the other side, too, but they did a good job.
And the other guy on the last set of pit stops that really had some troubles was Jeff Burton. Now, this is him live on pit road. He's just come in and left his pit stall. But Burton came down the pit road in 8th position. Look ahead at this 31 car right here, left.
10 away, right sides only. 5 away, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So that from Kevin Harvick. Burton had to stop, back up into his pit stall. He fell from 8th to 22nd at the time. Our in-race reporter today, Mark Martin, is lead lap. He's running 16th, DJ.
Hey, Mark, Dale Jarrett, you have a copy?
Hey, Dale.
Hey, buddy, we've seen this rubber situation on the racetrack as the corners get a little bit darker, but it looks like more of a buildup in some areas. Is that creating a problem for you?
Yeah, that causes a problem for everybody. It cleans off when you put new tires on. That seems to clean it off, but then you get a long run, and it builds up at the exits of 4 and 2 and the entrances of the 1 and 3, and it becomes real slick, almost like ice. So it's kind of hard to deal with.
All right, look like you're doing a pretty good job. 1 to go there. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Mark Martin running in the 16th position. Matt Kenseth, funny, we talked about that rubber buildup this morning. Mark talked about it being like ice. Matt said to me it was like running through slush. And I said to him, well, viewers in Florida aren't going to understand what that's like. And he said, they'll figure it out. Check it out.
Yeah, it just makes it, the car will just, the front tires will hit it and take off. It's actually whichever tire you kind of get with it.
This right here is the hardest part of it. You see how it collects in that one line? That can cause a lot of problems. And I saw this just a second ago from another shot, and I think this might be what Jimmy has been talking about when it starts building up and it's really tough. It's not the thin film that he's having a problem with, it's that buildup.
Yeah, and that'll make you adjust your lines sometimes, whether you want to stay below that or if you're going to try to straddle that. So if you're going to straddle it, maybe you can drive in a little bit harder, let your car carry a little more speed. Otherwise, if you're trying to stay below it, you may have to back the corner up some, back out a little earlier and stay below it to get that run.
And see how where the cars are now, all the rubber is picked up off the track. It'll get put right back down when they go back racing. It's a fascinating phenomenon that's kind of relatively new this last year or so.
Yeah, and basically what's picking that rubber up, what will pick it up, are those cars that stayed out there and just didn't just stay out, but got 2 tires. Those left side tires that they left on there that have a lot of heat in them will actually pull that right up. Now, the next thing you have to do is make sure that you really scrub your tires. And, of course, all of these cars up here have a little bit of heat in them, but the ones before that are the ones I'm speaking of that'll pull that up. So really get your tires cleaned off. Tony Stewart's been struggling here, Doc.
Yeah, he predicted to be a big struggle this weekend, DJ, and he's fulfilling that prophecy right now. They have struggled with the car being very, very tight in the middle of the corner and getting tighter as the day progresses. This track changes so much, and right now Smoke started 28, being shown a lap down in 27th spot. They have air pressure back in the right front, took a rubber out of the left rear, making big swings to try to help Tony be competitive and maybe get a lap back. Dave.
Doc, his teammate, not faring much better. The 39 of Brian Newman has been tight most of the day. They got it loose once. This last pit stop, 4 tires, 2 spring rubbers in the right rear, a Packer in the left front. They said, hey, you know what? Even if this doesn't fix the problem, at least we'll learn something. They're not having a good day.
All right, Dave, thanks. So getting ready for the restart. A.J. Allmendinger, the leader, is chosen inside of Kevin Harvick. This green flag restart presented by American Ethanol.
I think it'll be a very short time when we see this 48 car of Jimmy Johnson take the lead.
Already putting that rubber back down. New leader Kevin Harvick around Allmendinger to the top spot. Side by side, 4th place, Kyle Busch, 18 inside of the 0-0 of David Ruderman. And Kurt Busch hunting for some running room as well.
to Kevin Harvick to get that point for leading a lap, as he is the points leader right now and trying to win that first Sprint Cup championship.
And if this thing is as close as we think it's going to be coming down to the end of that last race at Homestead Miami Speedway, those bonus points for leading a lap and leading the most laps could be the difference in the title.
Well, Junior's got this thing rolling, though. He fixed that sway bar, and he's been steadily working his way back up.
88 car in 16th place, just took it away from his teammate Jeff Gordon. Running behind us side by side, Brian Vickers 83, Paul Menard 27. Moving forward, sliding back, Brad Keselowski going forward in the 2, David Ruderman slipping back a little bit in the 00.
And the driver that's led the most laps here today, Carl Edwards, been out front a lot. Hadn't really seen him in this position where he's back in traffic. See how he handles it for now?
Remember Ruderman's team, one of those that chose to go for just the fresh right side tires on their last trip down pit road.
Well, you watch that 99 car, and it just has so much lateral grip. Just that side. It looks like it's just making a lot of side force. Goes through the middle of the corner so well.
Well, when you get a car like that, we talk about how difficult this place is. We see Junior trying to get another spot here, but you have a car like you're talking about, Carl Edwards. Man, this is a fun place to drive. You can pass people. You can just really be aggressive. Makes it a blast.
And by the way, following up on the conversation point we had right at the end of that last caution, look how much racing rubber is down in those corners again already as Jimmy Johnson works on Allmendinger for second.
Whoa, a little close there. I think he thought he had him cleared.
Not quite clear. Good job by both drivers, though.
Yeah, that's a little give and take there. And when you come out of these corners, sometimes you might not think that you're cleared, but you've got that momentum and you just can't keep it off of there. And you're hoping that the driver back there gives you a break. A.J. Allmendinger did that for Jimmy Johnson right there.
Allmendinger's been sideways enough for one day early in the race. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy to watch coverage live from Dover. Follow your favorite drivers for free with 8 live camera views. You're watching a pretty interesting race. It's not quite to its halfway point yet and had a lot of different storylines develop already. A lot of strategy, some people recovering from early problems, and a lot of different guys working their way at different times lately to the front of the pack. Carl Edwards dominated a good chunk of the first half of this race, but we've seen a variety of others in recent laps shuffle their way to the front.
That's a great shot coming out of turn 2. You could see the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, our leader, wiggle a little bit there. What he's seeing is that Lowe's emblem getting bigger in his mirror.
One of the problems with this racetrack is that banking. You pick up all that load, and the rear tires, you get in the throttle, the rear tires stick real well. These cars make 900 plus horsepower, but as you come off the corner and that banking unloads, you have less traction there, and at that late exit's where you see a lot of cars spin the tires.
Now, Kevin Harvick took 2 tires this last time. That would have been 2 times in a row that he had gotten just those right sides. Wondering how long that may last for him. We'll have to see if he can hold on here throughout this run and keep his track position as Johnson takes the lead.
Bonus point. Actually, Jimmy got one earlier during a cycle of green flag pit stops. But 5-time champion who came into this race with a lot of eyes focused on him, being back 10th in points on the day, saying he needed a top 3 run, a place where he's won 3 of the last 5. He's out in front, just shy of halfway, while Carl Edwards picks up a spot as we approach the midway point of the race. Midway means it's time to go NASCAR nonstop. Presented by Aaron's.
And 2 laps complete here at Dover International Speedway. The one thing we've talked about all day is Jimmy Johnson is currently out front as the leader. The points and the shakeup that this race could possibly lead to. Every time there's a lead change, there's a new points leader. Now, Jimmy Johnson may be leading the race, but leading the points as they run right now, Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's looking good. There is no doubt about that. But the 48 car, my gosh, we all questioned him coming into this race, whether they're having problems or not. He has moved from 10th into points all the way up to 4th into points. And Brad, he's leading this race now.
Yeah, he has. And what he's done is he's put himself, as we can continue to sequence out, to be in that final run to have a chance to stay up front. Track position's everything. Him being up front right now means after pit stops, if they're just solid, he's going to have a chance to win this race.
Chance to win the race, and this could set him up for a chance to win his 6th consecutive championship. Talking about saves, how about A.J. Allmendinger, currently running 3rd after that incredible save earlier in the race that dropped him back to 43rd.
A.J. Allmendinger is having a heck of a run today. He's been really strong up front. That race car's been really loose this run. He is driving the wheels off of this Richard Petty Motorsports entry. An outstanding day. We keep waiting on this young man to get to victory lane. This could be his day. If he can get that car tightened up just a hair, I think he can go forward.
This has been a track that A.J. Allmendinger has always liked. Moving back to the back of the middle of the field, you'll see the 88 car running in 14th to Dale Earnhardt Jr. That, by the way, in 14th is the highest that car has run all day.
Nicole, I said earlier in Countdown Show that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been hanging on by a thread. He's been doing great, but barely. Really been doing a good job. Early, he broke a sway bar. It wasn't a personal failure of a pit crew member or something, just a broken part. But Doc Punch, I got to tell you, he has really rebounded. He's up to 15th right now. His lap times are looking good, buddy.
Exactly, Rusty. And Steve Letarte, the crew chief left side of your screen, has told me he thinks he and Dale Jr. are going to make some noise in this chase. Why does he believe that? Well, at Chicagoland, they had a 6th-place car. Guys ran out of fuel. They finished 3rd. Last week in New Hampshire, they ran no worse than 7th until cutting it 2 tires late. They would have had probably a top 5 finish. And he said, today, Dale Earnhardt Jr. complained a moment ago, the car was chattering and loose in the rear. They made a wedge adjustment, air pressure adjustment, and now Dale Jr., one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, and as Nicole said, in the top 15 for the first time today, and on his way toward the front. Jamie.
And his teammate in the 24, Jeff Gordon, he thought he was pretty tight off with right sides only. 2 stops ago, they opted to take those right side tires, but since they put 4 on, he's not much better.
We got to figure out some air pressure. Did we do something different, or it's just this rubber? Because we can't restart again like this. Yeah, man, that's just 4 tires right there. That's 4 tires. This thing just plowing. I mean, just plowing.
You hear him say there, he's just plowing. The car just does not want to turn. The highest he's been today is 8th, and he continues to drop back. They're hanging tough for the next stop. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. A lot going on here. The reports on some of those drivers and their days. You see this race for position. Kyle Busch racing here with Brad Keselowski for 8th and 9th, and this 18 car has been kind of slipping back in this last run, Vince.
It has indeed. They thought they'd made some gains on it, but right now Kyle says it's so tight up the hill, it's just plowing, and it's loose in and off. But when he gets going up that hill, he can't get the nose pointed down. And if that's going to be the case, he's not going to be making any headway on this one.
Yeah, I've seen him move up the racetrack now trying to adjust, and part of that came from a number of cars passing him that he moved up there. Looks like it may be helping a little bit. A lot of times, it's probably this tight condition that he has in the center. It could actually be tight all the way through, and he's having to put more wheel in it that gives him what little loose feeling he's having, but I think they've got to fix that center first.
Yo, here come the 2 car in a hurry, closing up to that back bumper, middle of the corner.
Yeah, they'll free it up in the center.
Wow, Clint Boyer right behind in that 33. Nice, by the way, you'll notice a lot of the Chevrolet cars in the race today with pink numbers on their cars in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, supporting the cause of finding a cure for that disease that affects so many around the world. 3rd place changing hands. A.J. Allmendinger dropping a spot. Kurt Busch picking up a spot in that 22.
Yeah, we talked about this 22 making adjustments throughout the race. We saw him a little loose on that last run when they had 2 tires. It's like they've made a nice adjustment and have his car moving forward again up to the 3rd spot.
Hey, I just can't remember. There's so much going on in this section of the race. Did I mention that Joey Logano got the free pass at that last caution? Don't know if I ever squeezed it in or not. If I didn't, I apologize, but he did. And he's back on the lead lap in 24th place. As you see, Carl Edwards chipping a spot there on Allmendinger. Just chipping his... Whoa, hang on there, AJ.
Yeah, that was a big wiggle getting in the corner.
Yeah, that was nothing in turn 3 for him.
Well, yeah, for him, that's nothing.
Not with us earlier in the race. Allmendinger got tapped by Denny Hamlin, racing for 7th spot in turn 3 at lap 5, and slid sideways all the way through the corner. Didn't hit anything and didn't crash. Remarkable.
And right now, he's the only car up there in the top 5 with just 2 tires on that last change. So he's able to hang on, but these other cars with 4 are doing the job.
Long way to go, but Jimmy Johnson, who said he needed a top 3 finish today for his championship, he's leading this race a little past midway. Time for NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's. Watching the race for the lead here at Dover, Jimmy Johnson 48, Matt Kenseth 17 as we close in on what could be another round of green flag pit stops before too long. Reminder that this week on ESPN's Monday Night Football, Dwight Freeney leads a strong Indianapolis Colts defense against Josh Freeman and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's Colts Bucks on ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern. Also available on Watch ESPN. Coverage starting at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Colts going to go with a different starter this week?
I believe so. All of us Colts fans are having a difficult time wanting Peyton Manning back there behind center.
Famous Boston quote from Rick Pitino once about Larry Bird's not walking back through that door. Peyton's not walking through that door right now, Colts fan. Jimmy Johnson has been out in front for this most recent chunk of the event. The man who led a lot of the early third of the race is Carl Edwards, but after getting shuffled back a little bit on the last pit stop by some other strategy, 99 has not made tremendous progress through the field. Vince?
Well, they've had a really good race car throughout most of the day, but right now it's not quite to Carl's liking.
Yeah, it's a little loose there. Short run, try and run the toss, no grip. It's okay on the bottom.
And 4, let's get into a rhythm. You'll run them all back down, bud. No worries.
Now that was about 20 laps ago, and as you heard right there at the end, don't worry, you'll run them all back down, and he's starting to make some more headway. Remember, Carl's already led 116 laps today. Doc?
Keep an eye on the 4 car of Casey Kane, and ironically, folks, Casey Kane, this is one of 4 tracks where he has never had a top 5 finish. Although he's qualified well, he's always had trouble. Today he qualified 9th. He has been running 7th, 6th, and now 5th. In the last 3 laps, he is running laps as fast as Jimmy Johnson, the leader.
Finishing. That's what it's been about this year for this 4 car. They've had the speed. They got to finish. Good race here for position. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, 29 and 18 for 7th and 8th, with Clint Boyer in the 33 also racing for a spot there.
Yeah, Harvick really struggling on those 2 tires. I think I'd said earlier that he'd made 2 stops just getting 2 tires. I was wrong about that. He had taken 4 previously and then got 2 this last time, but his car's not liking it exactly right now.
Speaking of sliding up, Brad Keselowski in that 2 car with Jeff Gordon going underneath him. Keselowski slipping back a little bit in this run. Marcus Ambrose there, going to work on him for a spot. That'll be 12th and 13th. This 2 team been an interesting one to follow in this championship so far. Obviously great finishes in the opening races. And the attitude that we have nothing to lose from the driver. It's kind of one of those, we're not expected to be here, like a team that's a low seed in the NCAA basketball tournament or something. Nothing to lose, go out and play the big dogs, give them our best shot. Nobody's expecting us to go this far. And that's kind of the attitude they have.
Well, you know, they charged their way into this chase by winning some races and moving up in there. There's no reason for them not to have confidence in themselves. I know they don't have anything to lose, so maybe the pressure's not there for them. This is their first time at it. Dave?
Yep, that's kind of the attitude I've been picking up as well, the vibe from the 2, if you will. Right now, no vibes that are hurting him in any way. The problem he is having is it has gone loose at the end of this run. Early it was loose until he got it behind somebody, then it tightened up too much. But now he's just complaining, loose on the 2.
Yeah, and I think this shows just how small a change it takes to really get off. And this car was up literally a top 5 car most of the day. Now it's gotten a little bit loose, which is the worst thing that you can have at this racetrack to try to move forward. So Brad will have to make a good change, and hopefully the end of the race will be better for him. We see Greg Biffle coming back inside the top 10.
Nice recovery for the Biff with the help of some fortunate timing. Overshot the entry to pit road and had a pass-through penalty for a commitment line violation earlier in the race. That was under green. Went all the way back to 33rd place. later on stayed out under a caution that followed. Got a wave around, got a quick caution after that to get some tires and get back in cycle with the leaders, and he's chipping his way back to the front. And Harvick, meanwhile, is slipping his way back again off that strategy that DJ talked about. Now, we're not that far away from the next set of pit stops that are going to happen under green. And as Jimmy Johnson, the leader, closes in, look who he's about to put another lap down. That's Tony Stewart, Doc.
And these pit stops coming up could not come early enough for Tony Stewart. Listen in.
I can't make it do something it doesn't want to do here. It will not cut through the center. 10-4, Bud. Shall we make it worse there? No, we haven't done anything. It hasn't done anything to it.
Well, Jimmy Johnson goes by Tony Stewart, and Tony, you know, when you're driving out there and you've won 2 in a row, DJ, and you know you're plowing and abusing that right front tire, it cannot be a good feeling here for a driver.
No, it's really not. At this place in particular, Doc, you don't want to abuse that right front tire. And Andy, I'm going to defer to you because you came up with the idea of what may be their problem here.
Just when you start adjusting on the car and you don't make any difference, or like he said, it could be as simple as the front splitter hitting the ground, and there's nothing you can do really on adjustments for air pressure or wedge that'll help that other than just get the splitter up off the track. I'm just speculating that could be one of the issues. But when you hear that, the car just doesn't respond to changes, even in a bad way, then it's got to be something.
Yeah, it sure looks like we're seeing the front come up and go down a lot as it loads up going down the end of the corner.
That front splitter, a very rigid piece in a fixed location on the car, and if it's hitting the track, the front wheels aren't hitting the ground the way they need to.
And that's just what Tony said. Nothing they've done has made any difference.
So Tony Stewart, 2 laps down now, 28th place. Joey Logano, all right, he got the free pass. Now he lost that lap.
Might need it again.
Jimmy Johnson is fast. Here's Jeff Gordon trying to take 9th place away from Greg Biffle. Gordon started back in 34th place. And we're seeing a first move made to pit road here by a lead lap car, Doc.
Clint Boyer coming on the pit road after running. I had a great run in the Nationwide race yesterday. Basically saying the car's pretty good, pretty neutral. A little bit of tight in the middle. Left front and left rear air pressure changes. 4 tires. No other chassis adjustment. Down and away. Less than 13 seconds. Great stop. The 33 crew.
And that is going to kind of open the door, and we're going to see a lot of people on pit road in these next few laps. Jimmy Johnson, not one of them yet. Jamie McMurray got a wave around, got back on the lead lap, got a caution, got back on the same fuel cycle with the leaders, and now he's on pit road under green, Vince.
Now, this has been a tough track for Jamie McMurray. 13th or worse the last 6 races here, and they've been struggling with it most of the day today, fighting loose. As you see McMurray pull it in, it's still too free. They're going to make a track bar adjustment, air pressure adjustment as well. Bono Mannion's going to have him put 4 tires on it, trying to snug up this car for Jamie McMurray so he can do something with it. Dave.
Vince, even though Keselowski's car was loose, he had driven from 9th up to the 6th position on this run. It'll be a 4-tire change for the crew. They'll make an air pressure adjustment for Brad and a wedge adjustment. The red's going in the back window now. Once he's full of Sunoco fuel, which is now, he is out of here. Doc.
They put a half of rubber in the rear last time for Brian Vickers. Didn't make a big difference. Brian saying the car still needs some help. Tires, air pressure change, that's all down and away. Dave.
27 car of Paul Menard had such a great start to the day, has really struggled. Right now the car very, very loose. He'll get the 4 tires and fuel as A.J. Allmendinger swings around the outside of him. Allmendinger had been running in the 6th position after being your restart leader. He had taken 2 tires. The car had gone to the loose side in the rear of the car. 4 now and fuel. Jamie.
Same exact thing happened with the 29. He took right sides, a good track position, led some laps, got an extra point. The car got really, really, really loose. 4 tires. Dave, back to you.
In spite of shock changes and Packers in the 11 car, it is the tightest it's been all day. Big wedge adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Denny Hamlin.
Right of the screen, Jimmy Johnson still on the racetrack. Dale Jr. among those on pit road. Doc?
Yeah, car said loose. He said his car is still loose in the corner, but he said it's probably the rubber on the racetrack. He did not want any major adjustments. Down and away, 13.3 seconds.
Johnson, Kenseth, the Busch brothers yet to pit. Vince, Carl Edwards is in.
Yes, Carl thought the car was too loose at the beginning of that run. In fact, it stayed a little too free, so he wants it snugged up. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, air pressure, and 4 tires, trying to keep up with the track and the car. It's been a little bit of a handful the last couple of runs. Doc?
Here is our race leader, Jimmy Johnson, back in. Again, to go back up on the track bar half around. He had gone down a half around previous stop. 4 tires, getting 4 Goodyear Eagles on. Topping off with Sunoco Field. Jimmy Johnson having the kind of day he normally has here at Dover. Vince.
The 16 of Greg Biffle, boy, he's been to the back, to the front, back to the back, and to the front again, but they've got this car working. They're going to take some wedge out, an air pressure adjustment, a little bit too snug in the middle, but overall, pretty good day for the 16. Jamie?
And Jeff Gordon, the 24, said they were just plowing, did not like that last run. 4 tires here and a wedge adjustment. Wiped the grill. Jeff Gordon stayed a little bit longer, and he looks like he stalled it, Vince. Jeff Gordon finally down and away, Vince.
The 18 of Kyle Busch, he said it just won't go up the hill and it's plowing off. So they made an air pressure adjustment and 4 tires. Dave Rogers trying to give Kyle something to work with. Now the 22 of Kurt Busch coming in. Boy, this car has been loose throughout much of the day, but they're starting to get it a little bit better. An air pressure adjustment, right sides, 4 tires for Kurt Busch. Alan?
And Vince, you just finished calling the Carl Edwards pit stop. Here he is back on pit road again. That's a pass-through penalty. Too fast exiting pit road. The speed limit on pit road for safety to contain the area where the crewmen work and are exposed to the race cars. Carl Edwards violated the buffer zone given, and that's going to cost him. We'll check where as the scoring cycles out.
One thing I can see is they've made these stops. Matt Kenseth's come out in front of the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson.
31 car is the leader, not yet having pitted. Then it will go to Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson as the cycle completes itself. Remember, Jeff Burton came in a little bit later on that second quick caution there than most of the other guys, and that's why he's able to go a little bit further. When Burton does pit, Matt Kenseth in that 17 car, just getting back onto the lead lap there, will become the leader by that much over Jimmy Johnson. Great job by Team 17 on pit road as we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's. As you saw in our NASCAR Nonstop coverage, the field is slowed under the caution flag. This for precipitation. A light sprinkle again, peppering this Dover International Speedway. It puts us under the caution for the 7th time today, and Jimmy Johnson has taken the lead back from Matt Kenseth.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com for a chance to win one-of-a-kind NASCAR VIP experiences. And GoDaddy.com, domains, websites, and everything in between.
So you see on pit road now as we come back live to Dover, Brad Keselowski's team under the hood, Dave.
Hey, Alan, sorry, we were just getting the scoop down here. Barely can he drive it because the power steering has gone south on the 2 car. Crew Chief Paul Wolf radioed to him and said it was the longest that he would be able to be on pit road and try to fix it. And I'm getting the high sign that they did fix it. We'll find out what it was.
Could have just been as simple as the belt. If they just replaced the fan, the belt on the power steering. I saw something just fall out from the back of the car there. I don't know if that was the same belt again.
Yeah, that'd be a challenge on this racetrack for that skinny young lad there.
It's the Monster Mile, after all.
I'm telling you, it's difficult. It's hard enough with what little power steering you actually have. We call it power steering. It is some assistance for sure.
Jeff Burton about to be waved around the pace car. He gets the free pass under this caution as being the first car lap down. Burton just giving up the lead for a green flag pit stop. Barely before the yellow waved. And on pit road now, a few lead lap cars, Jamie.
Yes, we see a few in here just topping off. Jeff Gordon making a wedge adjustment, 4 tires, and topping it off with fuel. They may as well. And the 29 did as well, Dave.
Even on that short run, Jamie, Denny Hamlin was able to tell that car is still tight. He'll take 4 fresh tires, more fuel, and another wedge adjustment to adjust that chassis.
Kevin Harvick Also on the pit lane, Brian Vickers, a few others there. Juan Pablo Montoya getting back on the lead lap. So, Brad Keselowski, we were talking about what they might have done to try and fix the power steering on that 2-car. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage. I knew you'd be ready to show us.
How about that, AB? But it is one of the easiest belts to replace on the car because, AB, it sets right out here. This is the power steering pump right here. Some of the guys run the reservoir here. But the belt sits in front of the rest of them, so you just literally have the guy cut the engine off, roll a belt on there, you're back in business, AB.
Yeah, if it was one of those other belts on the inside of those, it would have been almost impossible because you'd have to take them off to get to it. We see Brad coming back down pit road now. Looks like they're probably going to change 4 tires.
So one of the drivers in the championship looking for a little extra attention to his car after his first pit stop earlier, going after that belt, Dave.
Yep, and Alan, as we said before, that was the longer period that they had before. So they diagnosed, fixed the problem, put the belt back on just as we showed you, and now he gets the regular service, which is for 4 tires and fuel.
Carl Edwards also on the pit lane and leaving now, back to 24th position after that speeding penalty under his stop earlier. First speeding penalty of the year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for Carl Edwards. It's
going to cost him time.
Bad time. Caution out for a quick rain shower here at the Monster Mile. We go NASCAR nonstop, presented by Aaron's.
Back at Dover, working our 7th caution of the day. This one, a second one for some rain showers. This is just the beginning of the motorsports action, though, because tonight you can see the finals of the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals. That's at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Then NASCAR Now tonight to recap all the action from today, 10 o'clock Eastern. NASCAR Now is back also tomorrow with the Roundtable, 2:30 Eastern on ESPN2. And next weekend, it's the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And the Sprint Cup Series on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Jimmy Johnson is your leader, so let's get caught up with his crew chief. Doc is with Chad Knaus.
And Chad getting ready to call Jimmy's restart here. They get ready to go green. Chad, you guys been chasing the track all day. Done a pretty good job, you said, was the biggest challenge you had today.
You know, the track just changes so much in between a green flag run and a caution run. Like right now, all the rubber's picked up off the racetrack. So the Cobalt Chevrolet is going to handle a little bit differently here at the start of this run, but in about 15, 20 laps, it's going to be rubber back up again, and the track will start to loosen up again for us. So it's a bit of a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. You know, now we got weather factoring in a little bit too, so just some unforeseens. But I'm really proud of what Jimmy's done today in our pit crew, and hopefully we can get a good solid finish here.
Chad Knaus saying the weather is a factor. He told Jimmy to save fuel. Alan.
137 laps to go when they get the green here, Doc. Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson sharing the front row. And that number of laps to go, yes, does bring about the how many more stops do you need to make between here and the checkered flag. We'll talk about it in a minute. Let's watch some of the restart action first. Boy, that 33-car Boyer looked like it was bobbing and weaving in that corner a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, he did a nice job of being able to stay even with it. See, he got in that little bit of patch, that dark spot there. That's where that rubber's built up, and the front end wanted to take off. He had to back out of the throttle and get back in line.
Nice reaction time by Kyle Busch to keep him running him over. And Chad Knaus said they'd need a couple laps to get that rubber back down to the racetrack, and then the car would come in. Well, he got away from Matt Kenseth in those couple laps.
I think Kurt Busch's team has done a good job adjusting their car today. We're 3/4 of the way through this thing, or getting close to it.
Yeah, see, Kenseth had to get up out of the throttle as the back end got a little bit free out of turn 2.
Second place here, Kurt Busch 22, trying to get under Kenseth, and Casey Kane in the 4, and continuing to pick his way toward the front.
Yeah, they really look like that Casey Kane and Kenny Francis have adjusted their car to this racetrack with the changing conditions. Got them in contention now.
Yeah, the first 4 spots now occupied by 4 different manufacturers. Casey Kane, the Toyota, working the high lane just a little bit. The car really has come on in the last 100 laps.
Now looking back in traffic. Jeff Gordon there in 17th spot. Carl Edwards right behind him. Edwards is not on the lead lap. He is the first car a lap down at the moment, though, in 22nd place. So if the caution might come out, Carl could get the free pass and get back into the lead lap.
Yeah, I'm sure Carl's probably seeing a lot of raindrops on his windshield, and he's probably relaying that in right now.
You think? Gordon going to let Carl go there. No sense in racing him. It's not for position.
Not sure he could hold him back there long anyway. 99's been fast all day. It's unfortunate that they had the penalty and dug themselves a hole now.
Brad Keselowski saw them on pit road a minute ago, making repeated stops and working at repairing that 2 car. Showing Brad back now in 23rd position. And the second car a lap down. Greg Biffle, 16 car, trying to work his way forward. And 88 car on pit road from 13th place, Doc.
They have a vibration, and they came in during the caution a moment ago and put 2 right sides on, went back out. And apparently the vibration now they think was a loose wheel. That's why they're coming in for an unscheduled pit stop. Rights only for the Jr.
That's going to hurt. Let the scoring cycle around a lap and then update you where Junior is going to wind up after he gets back up to speed. Greg Biffle, Clint Boyer with Kevin Harvick in close proximity.
Yeah, a little contact there between the 16 and the 33 as they exit turn 2.
Greg Biffle continuing his effort to get back to the front of the pack. Clint Boyer having a steady drive. ESPN.com's David Newton reporting that Michael Waltrip Racing has scheduled a press conference for the Kansas Speedway next Friday, at which it is likely to be announced that Clint Boyer goes to work for Michael Waltrip Racing next year. And our in-race reporter, Mark Martin. Haven't had a chance. We talked to Mark once, but haven't had a chance to talk about him a whole lot.
That's what I was going to say. We talked to him, but not about him much. But he's starting to work his way into the top 10. He's running 11th, looking at 10th place right in front of him, Kevin Harvick.
Report up from pit road from Doc, right front wheel on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s car. Loose, Junior 2 laps down, 28th place. That hurts. Jimmy Johnson is the leader. Time to go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's. As you saw in NASCAR Nonstop, Casey Kane in that 4 car, marching toward the front, getting up to second place by Matt Kenseth. Now he's got about a 4-second gap, though, to close up to catch up to leader Jimmy Johnson. Just about 3/4 of the way through this race. A day that has been heavily overcast, kind of on the chilly side. There have been showers throughout the Delmarva area. We have had a couple of cautions for a couple of quick sprinkles. Nothing heavy on the day, though. And the second half of this race so far has been 48-17, Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth. It's Jimmy who's in command right now.
Good job, bud. Why don't you just be nice and smooth here, save us a little bit of fuel. Your lap times are really good. So if you can back her down to 10th or so, or close in the corner, might help us out.
And so with all of these leaders pitting like Johnson under the green flag, with that window of making it on one more stop from when they pitted right on the edge, the conversation begins.
Yeah, they have to go about 75, 76, actually 76 laps on each of these segments. Now, he did have some caution laps in that last segment, in this last caution we just had. So tells me that they're trying to stretch that window out to make it on one more stop.
Interesting to look at all the drivers in the championship. 5 of them are in the top 10. Then there's another 5 of them that aren't even on the lead lap. Let's recap the stories of their days so far as we go up to speed, starting with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Right side of your screen, you saw Chad Knaus there a moment ago. The 48 car, he has told Jimmy Johnson, we are good on fuel. We are really, really good on speed. And guys, I think they're really good on points. And by the way, the communication today between Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus has been pleasant polite, and very, very positive. And why not? Jamie.
And 2 cars behind him is Matt Kenseth. It's amazing how much track position you can make up when your car is that good and your pit crew is getting it done. Matt's saying now the car is pretty good, a little bit loose. They need to tighten them up. Vince?
The 22 of Kurt Busch had a terrible week last week at New Hampshire, finished 22nd. They needed a big bounce-back performance today, and they're getting it. Steve Addington has given Kurt Busch something he can work with. They're having a good day, chipping away at some of those points, and he is going to only need one more stop on fuel to make it to the end. Now, the 18 of Kyle Busch, Kurt's little brother, he's having a solid day. They're not quite as good as they would like. They were a little too tight on that last run, but they've had some really good pit stops, and Dave Rogers told me today before this race, let's get a top 5 and take it from there. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick's car was pretty good all day long. All they changed was air pressure until the last stop. He said he was loose. They went down on the track bar. He's saying it's better now, but still a little loose. You have Jeff Gordon back in 15th. Crew Chief Alan Gustafson told me this morning after their worst qualifying effort of the year yesterday, 34th, he couldn't sleep. He couldn't get over it. Well, they're trying to make up for that today. Car's been good and bad, and right now, he just can run the bottom, nowhere else, Dave.
Denny Hamlin's crew chief Mike Ford told me this morning that they had started a direction and then made a lot of changes overnight because they figured it would continue to help it. But the car has not been good today, and Denny's made many changes. It still will not turn for this driver. Vince?
And then there's the 99 of Carl Edwards, who's led 116 laps today, but he had a pit lane speeding penalty. Right now, Edwards is 1 lap down. He's the first car a lap down, and he's been beating himself up on the radio with crew chief Bob Osborne about that rare mistake for Carl Edwards in the 99. Dave?
Vince, the second car a lap down and trying to track down Carl Edwards is this guy. Brad Keselowski would like to pass Edwards and put himself in the lucky dog position and get a free lap back. That's because he lost a lap on pit road while they were changing the power steering belt. They have it back on. Brad says the car is back to drivable. Doc?
Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s day began with a broken right front sway bar bracket. An unscheduled pit stop put him back to 35th position. But then he drove what was a very good race car all the way to the 14th spot. Looked like he was going to easily have a top 15, maybe a top 10. Then a few laps ago, after a right side tire change under yellow, he said, I got a vibration. He came onto pit road, changed the tire. It was a right front wheel that was loose. And now he is 2 laps down in 27th spot. Dave.
Ryan Newman's car has been a handful all day long. His only hope, wait out the caution the last run. Unfortunately, they had to come to pit road for fuel, and then the caution came out for rain. Ryan radioed in, when it ain't your day, it ain't your day. The message back to him, it almost was, that's racing. Doc?
And his teammate and car owner, Tony Stewart, predicted they would really struggle today. And that prediction, unfortunately, is right on because Tony has struggled with handling on the car. Middle off, very, very tight. They have lost 3 laps because of having to come on and off pit road. Lost a lap early, trying to get the car dialed in. Tony trying to hang on. He would have been more than welcome to walk away with a top 15 finish. And now he may be lucky to get a top 20. Alan?
All right, thanks, Gay. The pit reporters updating all of the drivers in the chase and where they run in this race. Dale Jarrett began our day by predicting the standings would take a big shuffle as a result of this race. The race isn't over yet. They don't pass out the points until the day's done, but as they stand on the racetrack now, look at the shuffling in those yellow numbers of those positions, and look how close it all is in the white numbers.
Yeah, we still have 100 laps to go, but man, it is really close. This is going to be a big shuffle, and we continue on with 7 races after this.
So, about 3/4 of the way through this race, Jimmy Johnson is the race leader. Casey Kane has cut his deficit to Johnson in half in the last 10 laps. We'll pick up the race for the lead as we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's. Caution out, pit stops underway. Doc?
Jimmy Johnson says 4 tires, and although it's tight early in the run and it loosens up, I really don't want you to change anything. The car is just too good to make an adjustment now. They'll need 1 more stop for fuel. Jamie.
And Matt Matt Kenseth says he's just a little bit loose. I need a little help wedge in the left rear. 4 tires for the 17. Dave.
No rear grip for the 43 of A.J. Allmendinger. He gets up 7th place. It'll be a wedge. It'll be some chassis adjustment in the back there. A 4-tire change and full of fuel. Vince.
The 22 of Kurt Busch, he says he just can't drive it as deep as he'd like. It's a 4-tire change, air pressure up on the right side.
Land rush to the end of pit road. Ambrose in the middle of a 3 wide. And a little strategy from Jeff Burton and Juan Pablo Montoya's teams to take 2 tires on the stop. We saw Jimmy Johnson stop at the top of the screen. Something, a little hiccup there with the data pickup there. So track position held off the pit lane. Jimmy Johnson with the lead as we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's. Still another lap away from the restart here at the Monster Mile in race number 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, under caution for the 8th time in this race. Now let's go back and show you what caused the caution in replay. J.J. Yaley in this 38 car and the Monster Mile wall.
Get out of the groove here.
I think he had a right front tire going down there. Sent him up. Yeah, I believe he was actually on the inner liner to that point, and then it blew out as he came off the wall.
A nice move by a couple of guys to keep from hitting him as he crossed the track to get down to the inside lane. Now, this yellow gave Carl Edwards the free pass. He was the first car lap down. 99 car back on the lead lap, 21st position. Not pitting under this caution and taking a wave around. Brad Keselowski in the 2 gets him back onto the lead lap in 22nd place. He didn't, though, get fuel and fresh tires, and the strategy and the thinking on the 2 about what to do.
I mean, it could go either way, man. I can't see into the future, so if you feel like you want to stay, I'm fine. I could go either way, but, we could lose 2, though.
I follow you on the lose 2, but I also know if we lose 2, we'd get 1 back on the way route and be back right where we were, basically.
Oh, because if the caution comes out, we're going to be the lucky dog. Now we're going to be on the lead lap.
One other key point, they did discuss the fact that they only have to stop 1 more time, and that was one of the key points that helped them in the stay-out strategy.
Yeah, and everybody else has to stop 1 more time, too. Now, obviously, they'll have to make theirs a little sooner, but I like this strategy.
95 to go. Kurt Busch clearing Matt Kenseth to get that 2nd spot. Talked about the 22 car making adjustments as track conditions change through the day, being an issue for them in the opening races of this chase. Here they are getting late into the race.
It is an issue for them today, and it's on the good side. They have really helped this car a lot.
Yeah, and I think this is at their best time. When we talk about that rubber being off the track, they're really solid, really fast. We'll see how that progresses as these cars get 20, 30 laps on these tires and the rubber gets back down if they're able to hang with the 48.
While you watch this race for the lead, tidy up a couple of other details. Also taking the wave around and getting back on the lead lap on that caution, David Reagan and Bobby Labonte. Taking wave arounds to get back to 1 lap down. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart. And Martin Truex Jr.'s got some trouble in the 56 car.
Like that thing's not running.
Down coming.
Been a trouble-filled day for the man who started on pole today.
Now left rear tire down, yeah. I was wondering if that was going to come apart and put some debris out there.
He was running 25th at the time. Side by side, Montoya 42, Biffle 16. Montoya, one of a couple of teams that went for just right side tires on that pit stop to try and get a little track position. Jeff Burton was the other in the 31 car. Now looking back to Matt Kenseth in 3rd position. He was 2nd on the restart, Jamie.
And he just radioed to his crew, guys, something's going on. I think I have a left rear going down. So the team hurried up, jumped on the wall, and they're ready for anything right now, Alan.
Not a good feeling.
It looks fine right now. I don't see, it's no obvious problem. It could just be that after that restart, they didn't get all the tires cleaned up, or that rubber being gone off the track made it drive differently.
This was always one of the most difficult racetracks. On restarts, you start getting feel that the car's chattering around. It just doesn't ever give you the same feel each and every time, and you're always wondering if that might be the case.
Side by side, Jeff Gordon 24, Montoya 42. Montoya, we're talking about the right sides only strategy. Earlier in the race, they took a wave around to get back on the lead lap, as did the one car, Jamie McMurray. It's been an event-filled day. You should see my pad of notes in front of me. It's a mess, folks.
There's a lot going on, and I think that we've got 88 laps to go here, and we haven't seen the end of it either.
Yeah.
Some possible strategy being played out later on.
And the Vic, Brian Vickers, 83. He got a free pass earlier in the race to get back on the lead lap.
Paul Menard there, who started up front. He's had a day that has been okay, and here comes a man on the charge again, 99, Carl Edwards.
Who has led the most laps in this race of anyone so far? A $1:16.
His teammate Greg Biffle got a penalty on pit road when he did not come to pit road after he passed the commitment line, got that penalty, and he's recovered. Let's see if the 99 car, Carl Edwards, can recover from his penalty.
Pit road speeding earlier. Now, Jimmy Johnson leading Kurt Busch. Settled in after the restart and pulled away. You see, they've pulled away from third place Matt Kenseth by that much. Casey Kane, talked about him in that last long run, marching up, got the second, was closing on Jimmy Johnson. Lost a little bit of ground on the exchange of pit stops. And right behind him, Marcos Ambrose. Solid day in that 9 car.
Yeah, doing a nice job. Both of these cars, the 4 and the 9, are better on the longer run. As the rubber gets down, air pressures get built up. These 2 cars seem to slow down less than some others, so we'll see if they can pick up even more positions.
The Tasmanian Devil loving the Monster Mile. There may be some sort of racing poetry about that. I don't know. 84 to go. Time to go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's.
75 laps to go here at Dover International Speedway. As you saw on NASCAR Nonstop, the leader continues to be Jimmy Johnson. He's now led out front, 125 laps today. Carl Edwards has been out there a fair bit as well, 116. We've seen 21 lead changes, 8 cautions, a couple for rain, and at the very bottom of that, you see who the points leader is right now as they run, the 29 of Kevin Harvick. But it's not just all about the chase drivers. How about Casey Kane?
Yeah, Casey Kane, he's running in the top 5 all day long. He's running 4th right now. His lap times are looking good, Nicole, and you hit a nail on the head there. I mean, talk about the non-chasers. I mean, we knew we'd have to be talking about him sooner or later, and Kane's the best one of the bunch right now. He's up there. He's been there all day long. It's no fluke. This Red Bull Toyota's been flat flying all day long, Brad.
Yeah, they've been boogieing, man. And how about those RPM cars? I mean, Marcus Ambrose has been up as high as 4th, and they've done a great job. He and A.J. Allmendinger, both the teammate car, they have been extremely fast. Both of these 2 cars are 2 of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Looking for some good finishes for those RPM cars today.
Marcus Ambrose in 5th, A.J. Allmendinger in 7th. You're going to have to go back a little bit through the field to find Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, and Tony Stewart. Those 3 drivers right now run 25th, 26th, and 27th, and they are battling for the lucky dog.
And that's a really important battle you're talking about, Nicole. The 39 car, the 14 of Tony Stewart, and 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., all 1 lap down. They're all desperately trying to get back on the lead block, so they get back. There's some real racing to try to get back up into points right now, because they've all have fallen a little bit in the points.
Yeah, Stewart and Newman both have struggled all day, but they continue to race hard. We'll see what happens. AB?
So we've had 8 cautions today. 2 of them have been because of rain showers on the track, but a little birdie is telling me, guess what we're seeing now? The sun.
Snow.
No. It may feel like it, but yes, believe it or not, that is the sun, which will be interesting if it comes out. How will that change track conditions, Alan?
Interesting and eventful are 2 words I would use to describe this day at Dover so far, Nicole. Been a lot going on in this race. And what's going on right now is Jimmy Johnson leading Kurt Busch by a 2nd and a 3rd, and putting Bobby Labonte in the 47 car a lap down. Just doing some math here and looking at some numbers, it's not going to be all that long, I don't believe, before we'll see that 2-car of Brad Keselowski on pit road after staying out to take the wave around. But again, at 69 laps to go, Andy, that ought to put him in a window to go to the finish if we were to run caution-free from here.
Oh, yeah, he could come in any time now and still make it to the end. The other leaders, they can wait quite a while before they come.
Yeah, and one thing just mentioned there, Alan, is they talked about that discussion with the 88, 39, and 14 battling for lucky dog. With Bobby Labonte going a lap down, all of that's out the window right now because they're a long way from him.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon picking up a spot on Jeff Burton, and the fastest car on the racetrack, watching the lap times for most of this last segment of the race, has been Carl Edwards in that 99 car. Problem is, he's got a big hole to dig out of after the pit road speeding penalty. Carl, the last driver to win a race after a speeding penalty, but that was at Michigan in June of 07. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's. 60 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson's lead on Kurt Busch is a second and a half. Another round of pit stops for the leaders still to come. During our NASCAR Nonstop coverage, you saw Brad Keselowski make the green flag stop, as we talked about that would happen. You also saw some of the guys that were trapped a lap down make a green flag pit stop, like Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Gain the extra speed on the fresh tires for as long as you can over these leaders, and maybe the caution will fall for you at just the right time. That kind of the thinking there, Andy?
Yeah, it's just a timing thing. He'll gain a little bit of time on the new tires, and if the caution does not fly for a while, and those other leaders do make their pit stop, then he should gain a little ground, and then that's when he wants the caution to come back out. So we'll just see how it works out.
Race for 11th and 12th here. Carl Edwards, 99. Jeff Gordon, 24. Green flag stop for Juan Pablo Montoya there. I'd call this day disappointing for Gordon, wouldn't you?
I do. I thought he was going to be a lot better. As a matter of fact, the first half of the race, I know he wasn't up front, but he had a top 3 fastest car on the board as far as lap times, and I'm just surprised that they couldn't keep it going for the rest of the race.
I think the biggest thing that's hurt them is the lack of speed on new tires. They just can't seem to get going. They lose 3 or 4 or 5 spots after they put fresh tires on, and then it takes them that whole run just to get back to where they were.
Losing 3 or 4 or 5 spots is what's going to happen to him in the championship if things run out this way the rest of the day. This is third place. Casey Kane in the 4 on Matt Kenseth.
Casey Kane has a good long-run car. This thing runs out green. He may be able to run Jimmy Johnson down.
4.3 seconds behind Johnson right now. 56 to go.
That'll be hard to make up.
Yeah, the problem he's going to encounter is that 48 is so fast on new tires, and then even when he falls off, he doesn't fall off that much.
Let's talk about the final round of pit stops for these leaders. We've seen already today. We saw in this race a year ago with that 17 car of Matt Kenseth. This pit road can be difficult to get onto on a green flag stop. Talked about pressure on the pit crews. The money stop's coming up for both driver and team.
It is, and this is the kind of stop that's not going to take a full load of fuel, so it's really the pressure is on the tire changers to not make any mistakes and get those 4 tires changed in the least amount of time possible.
Yeah, and as a driver, you don't want to give up any time, but you certainly don't want to make a mistake. As we see Carl Edwards now trying to get up into the top 10 by passing Kevin Harvick, but especially someone like Jimmy Johnson, who has that very first pit coming in, he'll want to get slowed down and make sure that he doesn't have any problems. His challenge will be not to speed on this long front straightaway pit area and going 35 miles per hour.
This is Carl Edwards now trying to get in the top 10, passing Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, Harv let him go there, I think. That 99 freight train was coming fast.
Yeah, car's been fast all day, and it's just that one little mistake that Carl Edwards made.
That Carl Edwards-Kevin Harvick race there having some implication on the standings as they run in the championship. You see that right under the ticker. All right, so when will we see these final pit stops for the front runners? Johnson, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Matt Kenseth. Let's check on some of those. Doc, what about the 48?
Well, as Chad Canals had told Jimmy Johnson, with that pit stop on lap 301, we're probably pretty good until about 20 laps to go. Now, they're doing well right now, although Jimmy's talking about how the air pressure changing in the car is changing the handling of the car. Now, they probably will stay out until 20 to 25 to go unless some of the other leaders decide to go ahead and pit early, and then they will be forced to come in. Right now, no thoughts on coming any earlier than they have to. Vince.
Well, the 22 of Kurt Busch is taking his cue from when the 48 is pitting. Kurt said he ran it a little harder than necessary early in the run, trying to keep up with Jimmy, and he thinks that's why the car is getting tighter sooner in this run. Steve Addington says he's going to make an air pressure adjustment on the right side and also a little wedge assistance to try to give Kurt the best car he can have on this final stint. Doc?
On the 4 car of Casey Kane, a few minutes ago, Kenny Francis told his driver he thought there may be some weather about 30 minutes out. Caution on the racetrack, guys.
Trouble on the back straightaway. Mike Bliss has crashed in the 32. Ninth caution of the race.
We're done.
Mike was running in 31st place at the time.
Front end.
Try to drive it over here to us here.
I can't even turn.
Yeah, you see the front end is compressed into the front tire, so he's not going to be able to steer it.
Caution, going to bring most of the front runners to pit road for their yellow flag stop, and the caution, a huge break for this guy, Brad Keselowski. First car a lap down.
Well, here's the problem. He's 2 down. He is the first car that's not on the lead lap, but he's not going to get on the lead lap because he made that pit stop. But he will get one of them back. So that's a break, but it's actually kind of a bad break that it fell when it did. This cycle didn't fit his strategy.
He lost the second lap on the green flag pit stop because of the distance he was behind the leader. There you go. Yep, okay. I'm with you now.
But nobody's 1 lap down, so he will get one of them back.
Yep. So Mike Bliss climbing out of that 32 car. Show you what happened that brought us under the caution flag.
Yeah, it just gets loose coming up out of turn 2. We talked about the 9 degrees of banking on these straightaways, and it just throws you down to the inside. Not much room there.
This track is so unforgiving when you spin. That's why it was such an incredible feat when we saw that 43 save it early in the race.
So the stops are going to come with 46 laps to go.
I don't think anybody can go 2 tires here.
I don't think so.
Somebody's going to
see, though.
Got 20 cars on the lead lap. We'll see.
They saw that 99 was really fast on 2 earlier, so see if he takes a chance to get some track position and get himself in position.
All right, Doc.
Chad Canals told his crew, guys, nice and easy, very deliberate pit stop. Half a round up from the right rear track bar. 2 right side tires for the 48 car. The 4 car also calling for 2 right side tires. Air pressure, he's saying the splitter dragging the ground. Talking about Casey Kane. Jamie.
Matt Kenseth saying he doesn't have enough rear grip as the guys around him on the restarts. They're focusing on that. Track bar down, wedge adjustment, 4 tires. Vince?
The 22 was going to do 4 tires. When they found out the 48 was doing 2, they changed up. Also made a track bar adjustment. Just 2 tires for the 22.
A lot of different... contact there. Edwards and Biffle.
Wholesale 2 tire changes this time. Looks like Matt Kenseth, the first one on 4. We'll have a lot of cars to pass.
Guess that's why I was a driver, not a crew chief. I thought just thought they had a lot of laps on the left sides there.
Watch the 16 of Craig Biffle and the 99 of Carl Edwards exiting their pit stalls.
See Carl having to go around Jamie McMurray. No contact, look close.
Amazing a difference in angle.
Yeah, and Greg did a good job to give his teammate a break.
So, the radio communications between Jimmy Johnson and his pit just before the pit stops.
Jimmy, you're doing a really good job, buddy. Really good job. Keep whipping that snow. Keep whipping it. We trying to get ourselves set up here for the end. You're doing a really good job. You were doing a hell of a job, Jimmy. Thank you. Focus, boys. Let's do this.
Look like they're ready to go. Sounds like to me.
They're ready. They've had a great day so far. Just want to cap it off. That's what you almost get on pins and needles here at the end when you've had such a good car all day. Just want to cap it off. See now the 2 car getting that 1 lap back. Now he's tuning on a little bit.
So a lot of right side tire only calls on that pit stop, Jamie. Check that, Doc.
Yeah, Kenny Francis here making the call for Casey Kane. Kenny, you guys have been really good on 4, but you made a call for 2. Why?
Yeah, our car's been pretty good all day. We hadn't really done 2 yet today, so I don't know. But we felt like, whoever took 2 tires, the 2 tires is probably going to win the race, is what we feel. So we felt like we just had to try it and see what happens. So hopefully it'll come to us. That last set of tires just didn't really agree with the car quite as much. So we made a little adjustment there. We're hoping for the best here.
Kenny Francis saying 2 tires will win the race. Jamie?
And Gil Martin for Kevin Harvick. He told me this morning, when it comes down to the end of the race, I'm not taking 4 tires like last time. You took 2. Now you're up there with the other guys that you're chasing. Is the car good enough?
Yeah, I mean, our Rim Chevrolet's been pretty good all day long. We've been just out of sequence on where we wanted to be. We've had some really good runs. We've had one bad one that got us towards the back. We got a lot of weather coming, so we got bit in the spring by getting 4 this late in the race. So hopefully it'll play out for us right here.
All about track position, and they got themselves 6 positions. Vince?
Pretty solid day for Kurt Busch so far. Steve Addington, I know that you preferred to have taken 4 tires there. Everybody else went with 2. How confident are you? You've got something to work with here in this final stint.
Well, we're on the same field as everybody else. We had a really good car. Had one all day, and just hope we can finish this deal off. It's been a good race for us, and that 48 is pretty strong, but let's see if we can beat him right here.
We're going to find out. Everybody's asked about whether the 22 could keep up with the changes of the track and everything else today, and I think so far, guys, they've done a great job at it.
All right, Vince, thanks. 4 tires was the call by Jimmy Fennig for Matt Kenseth on that yellow. It's knocked him all the way back to 9th place.
Yeah, we should have put 2 on, Jimmy. There's no way I'm going to pass all these cars in 40 laps. There's no way. Oh, well, we'll try it here. Just after we set the precedent in the last race, you knew everybody was going to do the same thing there.
Very interesting. That last race happened here in May, the last caution. Pit stops were at lap 363 of 400. Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, they all took 4 tires. Matt Kenseth's team went for just right sides. He restarted second alongside Mark Martin, who had pitted, got the lead a few laps later, and ran on to be the first one to the checkered flag. This time, the opposite call, and it's setting that back in traffic a little bit, Jamie.
Makes you want to ask him, Jimmy, you guys won this race last time in the spring with right sides. What made you take 4 tires this time?
Well, we were pretty bad in the middle. We were pushing pretty bad, and one time we put 2 on, we were too tight, so we had to adjust it, and hopefully 4 would get us.
All right, adjusting 4-car handling, but you heard Matt Kenseth not exactly sure if they're going to be able to get back to the front.
Yeah, one other thing, I'm sure Jimmy didn't think everybody would take 2 tires. I'm sure he knew some would, but he didn't realize that many cars would take 2, so you don't know that going in, and he wanted to get that set of tires off. So
obviously, Jimmy and I think a little bit alike. I didn't think it'd be this many either.
So there they are, lined up for the restart. That's going to come with 42 laps to go. Remember, after the last restart, Kurt Busch really gave Jimmy Johnson a run for a few laps.
Big run right there for Kurt Busch.
That is going to be a new leader. And behind him, Casey Kane inside of Kyle Busch for third.
New leader, the 22.
I'll tell you, if this 99 can get clear of these 2 cars, the 18 and the 4 right in front of him, he could be a factor in who wins this race.
That's close. Edwards and Kyle Busch, 99 and 18, 4th place now. They're racing for. Mike Bliss examined and released from the infield medical center after that crash a few minutes ago. So, last time, Kurt Busch gave Jimmy Johnson fits for a few laps, then Jimmy drove away. Now Kurt has cleared him. Can Jimmy get around?
Yeah, and what Jimmy's thinking is he wants to get separated. Cars coming. Got
Greg
crashed.
Biffle off turn 4 on the front stretch. Into the inside wall. Caution's out. He was running 10th. Matt Kenseth was the closest car around him.
Let's take it to the truck.
Break for Brad Keselowski again, who's going to get back on the lead lap now.
Now he'll get that lap back that he needs.
There he is. 2 in a row. 2 laps back. Brad Keselowski, lead lap. Somebody's going to start looking for a golden horseshoe around this 2 car before too long.
They just hang in there and they take advantage of these lucky breaks.
See if we can see what happened to Greg Biffle.
Wow, that was pretty close to him.
Obviously couldn't tell from that angle if there was any contact or not, but no, it looks, you can see up in front there, Greg Biffle just lost it coming up out of turn 4.
Tough. The Biff had rallied back to the lead lap and in contention after some troubles earlier in the race. Caution flags out. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Aaron's.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR, Ford, Drive One, and AT&T. Get it faster with 4G. Rethink possible.
Getting set for the restart here at Dover International Speedway. Jimmy Johnson trying to hang on and maybe get a win this year. Chad Canals. Chad, you've had him covered all day on 4 tires. Do you have enough with 2 tires for the 22 car?
I think so. We'll have to see. We took 2 tires early on today when they had the competition caution, and the Cobalt Chevrolet ran really good right there. So I think we got a shot at it. Kirk got by us there in that last restart, but I think we're going to have a little something for it.
Okay, Chad Canals saying he thinks they got enough. Alan?
Jimmy Johnson did not get going well there.
They spun the tires a little bit initially, but got it going. He's going to be okay. I thought maybe Casey Kane might be able to hold that spot, but here comes Kyle Busch. Take 3rd.
Casey had to ease off a little bit to keep from running into Jimmy. Going into 1, maybe?
No, he had to. He chose to.
Yeah, okay. So Kurt Busch leading. Sorting it out after the restart. Matt Kenseth still back there in traffic. That's racing for 7th and 8th spots. Now Jimmy's got to catch Kurt.
Here comes Carl Edwards charging up through there. He's got a great car.
If he's going to have any chance, he's not going to be able to waste too much time in passing these cars that are separating him from the leader, Kurt Busch.
Yeah, he's so fast right through the middle of the corner. So Casey kind of taking his line away a little bit.
Got to be careful there, too. That's so tight.
Yeah, Carl's driving it a little bit different. He's backing out, getting to the gas in the center, driving it through there, but his car's not quite as good then on the exit. 4 cars able to keep a little more momentum.
A.J. Allmendinger, Brian Vickers, Marcus Ambrose, Jeff Gordon, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th.
Yeah, Ambrose lost a little track positions. He's been up in the top 5 that last pit stop.
Montoya went up the track in turns 3 and 4. Didn't hit anything. Carl Edwards got 4th spot from Casey Kane.
Yeah, he got a great run off of turn 2 there. Casey Kane saw him. Wasn't much he could do after that. We've documented 4 cars a lot better on these longer runs than he is on the short ones. I'm not sure that this is going to qualify 35, 36 laps as a long enough run.
Well, the problem is we heard Kenny Francis say they haven't done the 2-tire thing all day. So this is their first experiment with it. It looks like it's not working as well as their car did on 4-tire.
Boy, points-wise, it's been a huge rebound for Carl Edwards in coming back. Had fallen way back, but certainly making a great day of it in the top 5 now.
I mentioned Montoya going up the racetrack a moment ago. Here's a look. That's why he went up the track.
There's good reason there. David Reagan getting a little bit loose in that UPS Ford and contact.
Another nice save.
Here comes Matt Kenseth. He's the one that took 4 tires. Not going to have enough time, I don't think, to get up to where he was.
He's trying to take 7th spot from Kevin Harvick here. There's an opening.
Yeah, he's probably got time to get himself back in the top 5, which will be a good solid day. Keep him much more into this championship battle than being back there outside the top 10. Allmendinger, he led on Kevin Harvick.
And through. Allmendinger having a solid race in that 43. Marcus Ambrose, Brian Vickers racing for 10th place. Ambrose the winner of Watkins Glen. Brian Vickers has had a tough season, but a couple of top 5 finishes. Carl Edwards up to 3rd. Talk about a late rally.
Yeah, another caution flag, and Carl Edwards is going to be the man to beat, I think, to win this thing. He might still catch those top 2. He's got 25 laps.
Let's talk about those top 2 for a minute. Jimmy Johnson has not closed back in on Kurt Busch.
They're really going just about the same speed. We've been watching lap times. It looks like those top 2 are about the 2nd best cars. Looks like Carl Edwards has the fastest. We'll watch speeds at the line and see who is the quickest.
Right there. The thing I'm seeing with the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, when he was fast and leading this race, he was right on the bottom of the racetrack. These 2 tires have changed the handle in his car. He's up a good half groove, if not a little more than that, in the center of the corner.
Now, Carl is a little quicker than these top 2, but he's not that much quicker. He's got 24 laps. He might get there.
He's knocking some ground off. Got a long way to go.
He knocked a couple tenths off that lap.
Well, some storylines on the day that have been answered. Kurt Busch making adjustments to keep up with the track as the day went on, and going from being the most consistent driver in the second half of the season, knocking off just top 10 after top 10, but usually between 5th and 10th, to run it up front and contending to win this race. And Jimmy Johnson saying he needed a top 3 in position to get that done right now. 11th place changing hands there. Jeff Burton, solid drive, looking for what would be incredibly just his 2nd top 10 finish of the year if he could pass one more.
This is his best run of the day, and that's the time to have it in the last segment.
And disappointment for Jeff Gordon, sitting back there in 13th place in the final laps. Not the day the 4-time champ expected to have here at the Monster Mile.
Now watching Jimmy Johnson also starting to close back in on Kurt Busch a little bit. Like what we've seen in the past is the 22 to kind of start to struggle a little bit as he gets more laps on his tires.
Boy, this championship is really going to close up today if these last laps run out like they stand right now. Casey Kane, Kyle Busch for 4th and 5th. Not been the kind of day at Dover Kyle Busch was hoping to have for his championship. I mean, okay, he's running in 5th, but I think they expected to get up there, lead laps, and contend for the win.
I certainly expected him to, and I think, Dale, you did too.
Yeah, he was my pick to actually win this race, but hasn't materialized, Vince.
No, it has not, and they were confident coming in, but Dave Rogers said before the race he really felt like Kyle had given him everything this week to respond from last week's finish, 11th at New Hampshire, 22nd in Chicago. They thought this would be a good track, and Dave said if we can get a top 5 here, we feel like we're going to be in pretty good shape. Right now, Kyle fending off Kenseth for that 5th spot.
And Kenseth trying to dig back from the 4-tire call on that last pit stop that cost him some track position. Remember, Matt up there with Jimmy Johnson as 1 and 2 for a good chunk in this race. in the center section of the day.
The one thing that would be beneficial for Matt Kenseth is a caution, because he's now moved into the top 5. He does have a little better tires than everybody else, so that'd be a break for him if we saw a late caution.
Yeah, and something that could be beneficial to Carl Edwards as he tries to run the front 2 down would be for Jimmy Johnson to get up there and battle Kurt Busch a little bit. That would certainly slow them down a little and allow him to get to their bumper possibly.
Leaders have caught the tail end of the field. A little lap traffic, not a ton though. Got a ways to go before they catch up with any really heavy traffic.
Most of the lap traffic will yield to the leaders because I don't see a lot of lap cars that are racing each other.
For positions.
Yeah, for positions. That means they would just give them the groove that they want.
Kurt Busch started on the front row and led a good bit in the opening segment of the race. Led most of the first 50 laps of the race. Then Carl Edwards went out in front. Carl was the dominator from lap 51 for a good bit of the race, on through about lap 175. Then Jimmy Johnson went out in front, and he's been the guy in command until this late turn of events, with Kurt Busch getting out in front.
Well, Kurt Busch done a great job when he got out front here. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, one thing with that 22 car, he got a little damage on pit road that knocked that right rear quarter panel out a little bit. I'm not sure that didn't help him. Make it a little tougher for Jimmy to run him down.
Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, so much talk after they came into this race, 10th in the championship. Could they climb out of that hole? Could they make it 6 in a row? Where did they stand between them? And frankly, the practice session that they had on Friday, body language, tone of voice, that kind of thing, did little to dispel people from carrying on with that story. But they certainly had that car fixed up and sporty for today's race.
Bob Osborne, I think he's had the best car for Carl. But just, that one penalty, that one little miscue of speeding on pit road, putting back that lap and then not being able to get back up in contention until late, might end up costing him a chance to win this one.
Carl Edwards busted for speeding.
10 more, buddy. 10 more right there.
Exiting pit road on a green flag stop at lap 246. Knocked him back to 25th at the time. Now he's running third, trying to close. Look at that. Johnson hanging it out. Edwards hanging it out. We're going to have Atlanta flashbacks here. These guys sliding all over the place in the final laps.
Jimmy's really struggling with this rubber buildup right now. You can see Johnson get in that rubber buildup. His car really, really wiggling right there.
Looks like Carl just power slid through the corner there that last lap. They're giving it all they've got. It probably takes a little discipline when you've got these guys in sight like that to not overdrive the car.
Yeah, it is that. And Jimmy's really struggling with his car in the center of the corner where he was keeping it below that rubber buildup. He can't keep it that and carry any speed. See Carl Edwards closing in for second.
Clint Boyer, A.J. Allmendinger racing for 7th place, 33 and 43. Nice drive today for both. Allmendinger sent for a big slide after contact with Denny Hamlin way back on the 5th lap of the race. It sent him back to 43rd in the field at the time.
Yeah, Boyer hasn't been spectacular, but through the second half of the race, he's been more solid for him.
And some other side-by-side on the lead lap. David Ruderman around Brian Vickers. Vickers looks like he's kind of hanging on through these last laps a little bit. At the moment, the race appears to be for 2nd place. Kurt Busch, 0.8 of a second on Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards. If the 22 slips, they'll be right there on him.
Yeah,
he's got to slip.
Yeah, the thing that I've seen is Kurt Busch getting a lot of help from the lap traffic that he's encountering, and they're just one at a time where they're not running side by side or anything.
The only people I've seen slipping are Edwards and Johnson. They're just pushing their car so hard, and Kurt Busch is able to just keep his car steady and keep that lead. Lead still just 0.8 of a second last lap. Man, that's got to be tough, Dale. You can just see him. You can almost reach out and touch him.
Yeah, they're
touch
right
that
there.
leader.
And you're trying to figure, where can I get just a little bit more out of my race car? I'm not sure that's possible for any of these three right now to get any more.
Now, understanding that if you try to get that little more, just a little too much, you might end up throwing away a good finish in the last laps.
Well, they're all three solidly back in the chase here now. I think that's one big thing, but they do want to win. You know, that's the goal right now. Yeah, they're thinking about the chase in the back of their mind, but right now they want the trophy.
A lot's been made of the radio conversations between Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus during last week's New Hampshire race. Steve Addington, crew chief for Kurt Busch on the left. There are some tense radio conversations as well, as his driver has struggled to manage expectations and the reality of them working through the handling in the late laps of these races. Yet they came here to Dover this week. Kurt said, I've been a champ before, we can do this. Now they're 2 laps away from going to victory lane.
They're proving they can do it. They adjusted this car when it wasn't so good in the middle of the race, turned it around, and now looks like he's going to get this victory. 1 to go.
1 more mile, bud.
The only driver in the top 10 in the championship standings all season long. That man, Kurt Busch. Just the 1 win on the road course at Sonoma. But steady, solid. After finishing 22nd in New Hampshire a week ago to lose ground in the championship, they're going to gain it all back with a win on the Monster Mile today. Kurt Busch wins at Dover.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about! Yeah!
Look at the rest of the lead lap finishers, but it is Kurt Busch getting the jump on Jimmie Johnson on a late restart, hanging on through another restart and pulling away to score the victory, his second of this season. And the win going to pull Kurt Busch up to 4th in the championship standings, only 9 points off the leader, Kevin Harvick.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, Alan. It was that restart when he was able to stay side by side with Jimmie Johnson down into 1 and then powered to the lead off of turn 2. That was the key winning moment.
And the winning crew chief is with Vince Welch.
And he just got a thumbs up from his cohort on Penske Racing, Paul Wolf, just giving congratulations to Steve Addington. Steve, you told me before the race, we've got to control what we can control. How much did you have to work on this race car to get it to victory lane today?
We worked with it. Had to put a good bit of wedge in it, work with tire pressures, and finally found a direction there with the tire pressures and stuff, and it came to life, man. Awesome job by everybody on this Penske Racing Dodge. Shell Pennzoil, I want to thank them. AAA Lennox. I want to thank everybody back at the shop. They busted their butts. We finally got us another win with this 22 car.
Total team effort. Alan?
All right, Vince, thanks. Steve Addington, a somewhat soft-spoken guy, nose to the grindstone, though, and working hard at trying to win a championship. And our Goodyear winning moment as Kurt Busch lays the nose of that Dodge up against the inside retaining wall and lights him up for the fans.
Lighten up the Goodyears.
And the victory lap for Kurt Busch. We'll meet him in victory lane, talk with some of the other top finishers as we come back to the Monster Mile. Dover, Delaware, the Monster Mile, where race number 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is over. We said at the start of the day, Dale said this race would cause a big shake-up in the championship standings. Not only did it shake up the positions, but it closed up the championship as well.
Yeah, we've got 9 drivers solidly in the chase here. Battle for this championship within 19 points. Gonna be fun.
On to Kansas with that as the picture. And we head down to Napa Victory Circle, where Kurt Busch is about to celebrate a win at Dover.
You know, it feels good for Kurt Busch to celebrate here in victory lane today after that 22nd place finish last week at New Hampshire. Had a lot of people questioning whether this team was going to be strong enough. And we talked before the race, Kurt, about how important it would be to have a bounce-back race for you this week after New Hampshire. What's this say about this 22 team?
Well, it's just a perfect execution today with pit stops, with making the car better during the race. That's been some of our struggles when the track rubber's in. we're not exactly where we need to be, but this is an awesome day for Shell, for Pennzoil, for Dodge. I mean, I can't be happier right now. And to win a Sprint Cup race in the Chase, this is what it's all about. That's the feeling of the playoffs and this team. We had everything go wrong last week. We had everything go right this week. We just need nice, smooth races from here.
Feel like you're a championship contender?
I feel like we're right in the mix. I mean, you just got to cover up those bad days. You know what I mean? Like Tony Stewart probably struggled today. He's going to be dropping back. You know, you just can't drop out of just running consistent for those top 10s. But right now, this team, I just got to thank all of our sponsors. And, of course, the Shell Saver card, 22 cents a gallon off on Wednesday with this bad boy. So make sure you get this card. But thanks to Sprint, thanks to all of the sponsors at Penske Racing, Dodge. I mean, it's unbelievable. With Coca-Cola, AAA, Lennox, Discount Tire, Snap-on Tools. Just got to thank all these guys. And my sunglass guys, even though it's a cloudy day, Tag Warriors. So thanks a lot, guys.
Kurt Busch taking care of business today. Up to 4th in the point standings now, Doc.
Now, this is the Jimmy Johnson we're accustomed to seeing. For the 6th consecutive race, you led the most laps, Jimmy. It looked like you had him covered most of the day until that final run when the 22 got by. What were you battling?
Really, I just got a poor restart when I was the leader, and then the last restart, I didn't get a good one again, and couldn't race him through turns 1 and 2. So the cars were very equal. We saw that the run just before that final run there, and I could get a gap on him through traffic after 30, 40 laps. But for the first 30, he was awfully quick, and I had my hands full there, and I just didn't get a good restart and cost myself a win.
What does this kind of run today do for you and this team in terms of the overall chase and the championship?
Well, it gets us right back in the thick of things, and I think a lot of people overreacted last week about an 18th place finish, where we probably should have finished about 10th or 8th, but the contact late damaged the car and we slid back. But this is a great race team, and we proved it today. We proved it at Chicago, but we ran out of gas and didn't finish where we were supposed to, and this is the same team that's won 5 championships in the past. And it's a team I'm very proud of and a very big part of, and I look forward to what this Lowe's team is going to do in the future.
Hey, well done, bud.
Thank you.
Let's go to Dave Burns.
A 3rd place finish for Carl Edwards and a tie at the top of the championship, but one mistake on pit road today. Carl, did that cost you the race?
Do you guys notice that? You saw that?
That was big. Everyone saw, unfortunately, yeah. And you were kicking yourself after the race, I know.
That was really, really, really dumb. And fortunately, we had a lucky caution there, and I got the lap back, but that was bad. So my guys did a really good job. I got to thank Aflac, Ford, Scott, Subway, Kellogg's, Sprint, and all the fans for sticking around out here with this inclement weather. But man, we had the car that could win. It's completely my fault that I didn't have a chance to run up there. But the coolest thing was after the race, my guys, they said they're behind me 100%. We're going to move on and go to Kansas. And at the end of the day, we did make up some ground. But
Talk about that charging at the end, though, too.
Well, yeah, it was that was as hard as I can drive. That's it. So it's fun, but man, I just it's hard to get over that in the car when you make a mistake like that. That's so bad for the day and so bad for everybody that's put so much effort in. But it was really cool. My guys are behind me, so excited to go take this Aflac Fusion to Kansas and hopefully put on a good show there.
Yep, they all came by, patted him on the back, and said we'll get him next week. Jamie.
And Jeff Gordon, gosh, what a day. Started 34th, Jeff, and he ended up 12th. I know you're not that happy with it, but what's up with those restarts? I think that was probably the culprit today.
Yeah, that's been a struggle for us here at this track this year. Just super, it's like there's no air in the front tires for the first 8 laps, and so we just don't have any speed to take off. And then once we get going there, then we got a great race car, So it started off good, and we worked our way forward pretty quick from that 34th position, which we were hoping to do. But once we got up there, I made some mistakes today, and we just didn't have it on the restarts. But other than that, we've had a great fight from this race team. I'm so proud of the effort. I just, we got to run better than that.
You lost 4 positions in the points. You're 9th now, but moving on to Kansas, what do you think you guys will have there?
Well, we gained on some, lost on some others. It was such a, it's so tight right there all the way back to 9th or 10th. So we, Kansas is a great track for us. I can't wait to get there. If we can run the way we ran there earlier in the year, then we'll make up a bunch of those points that we lost today.
It was a good day today for Jeff Gordon, who had his worst start of the year, but ended up 12th. Alan?
All right, Jamie, thanks. The mention of Kansas, where we go next Sunday. As we look ahead at the upcoming schedule for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, 7 races remaining in the season, a couple of mile-and-a-halfs, and then a big wild card up next.
And then one right after that, Martinsville.
Those are the remaining races of the season. Like to join us at the track, NASCAR.com/tickets. And we had some good racing this season, got some great racing left to go to determine who the champion will be. So the Miles the Monster trophy there with that 22 diecast car tucked in the upraised right hand after Kurt Busch wins today. Let's talk to some more of the top finishers from today. 5th place was Matt Kenseth.
Well, Alan, back in May, Jimmy Fitting made a 2-tire call and he put him in victory lane. Today, there was a 4-tire change in that final stop. Was that the difference?
I don't think that was the difference. I mean, I look at the scoreboard, all them guys, Carl got behind speeding or something, but all them guys outran us the last couple runs. So, that's what won it in the spring, but we had a real fast car, and we just got off a little bit toward the end of the race, but we had a great pit stop. The last run, the car was back to normal, and glad we could get back up to 5th.
Another top 5 finish now with 7 to go in a chase. What's your mindset toward this championship?
My mindset is just finish the best you can. I mean, the only car and team we can control is our own, so we just go out and race hard every week. Hopefully we can keep getting some finishes. We've had really fast cars the first 3 races of Chase. I really couldn't ask for any more, but we just got to get the finishes every week and just keep clicking them off one at a time.
Okay, Matt Kenseth finishes 5th today, still 7th in the points. Dave.
Just ahead of him was the top finishing non-Chase driver. That was Casey Kane. First time in the top 5 finishing here, Casey. How'd you guys do it?
Well, we had a strong Red Bull Toyota throughout the race, and at times we were the best car. But at the end I got a little bit tight. Then I had a great restart, and I thought we could get to 2nd, and Jimmy just was coming down, getting into 1, so I let him go rather than wreck him, and that was kind of our race. But we ran well. The team's still fighting hard, even though there's some uncertainty with the guys. Some of the guys, the Red Bull guys, are still fighting hard and doing a really good job. Kenny Francis called a good race, and we were right there all day.
Don't count them out yet this year. They're still running fast in the 4 car. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski talking it over with his crew chief, Paul Wolf. Brings it home 20th today. You only lost 3 spots, and you guys are still right there in the hunt. What was today like for you guys?
It's just a kick in the butt, that's for sure. Both Kurt and I had great Penske Dodgers, and I want to thank everybody at Penske and Dodge for giving us fast cars. Just caught a bad break there. Looks like we ran over something, and it knocked the power steering belt off the car, and all these big piles of rubber, we must have hit one, and it just came up inside the car and knocked it off, and we lost a lap in that and just couldn't get it back till right to the end, and just wasn't meant to be for us. Had a very fast car and probably should have had a top 5 day, but I guess I didn't have the golden horseshoe today.
It was a roller coaster indeed for Brad Keselowski.
Okay. All right, Jamie, thanks. And as we look ahead, motorsports coverage continuing tonight on ESPN2 with the Auto Plus NHRA Nationals Finals from Reading, Pennsylvania, and NASCAR Now with more post-race coverage from here in Dover. That's at 10 Eastern Time tonight on ESPN2. The Monday Roundtable. Dive into some of this championship and the ups and downs of this day. 2:30 Eastern, ESPN2 Monday, and then it's on to the Kansas Speedway with the NASCAR Nationwide Series Saturday, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Sunday. Coverage presented by Dodge. That's ESPN at 1 Eastern for Race 4 in the Chase. Well, you said it was going to happen. It did. The standings have taken a big shakeup. Final thought for the day?
Yeah, it sure have. It's going to be a great race to see who's going to win this championship. I was impressed with a lot of the non-chasers running up in the top 5, finishing in the top 10. Kane, Allmendinger, Boyer, Ambrose, Jeff Burton finishing in 11th today. So I think it's going to continue to be that. And these non-chasers could be a big factor in these points as we get to the end.
And Tony Stewart, he was not looking forward to this race. Knew he was going to struggle and did, but he didn't lose that much. He's still 3rd in points, only 9 points back, and now we're out of Dover.
And as we leave Dover, a tie atop the championship. Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick with the same number of points. Harvick is the official championship leader. He's got more wins. Let's hear from him, Vince.
And Kevin finishes 10th today. Do you have a defining moment in this race today?
Man, we just struggled on 2 tires. I think all in all, we probably had a little bit better Rheem Chevrolet than that. But every time we put 2 tires on, I'd get tight for 4 or 5 laps and then just really loose up off. So just fighting for our lives there at the end, and we're able to salvage something out of the day.
And that's what you have to do to win this chase, isn't it? Salvage?
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoy coming to this racetrack, but it hasn't been a particularly good racetrack for us. So to come out of here with a decent day and salvage something out of it is what we have to do.
And he did indeed. Kevin Harvick, 10th today.
This gives us a chance to come full circle on something we talked about earlier today during Countdown, the driver-crew chief relationship. And coming into the day, we had said that the relationship between Steve Addington and Kurt Busch was a little bit strained. But we also said a win can heal all wounds. Is that the case?
Oh, I absolutely agree that a win cures all ills when it comes to any type of competition. And the thing we saw today that I really love is we didn't have a fuel mileage debate or have to figure it out. These guys got to race for the end, and Kurt Busch was wheeling that thing, and that's really healthy for that race team.
You know, Brad, you hit the nail on the head right there. We saw these guys run hard as they could all day long because we had no fuel mileage races. And this 22 car had a lot of horsepower. Really happy how the 48 car run too. But the 22 car has been a great handling car all year long, and they really got it together today, and I was proud to see that. But the fuel mileage issue, out the window, we got to see the fastest cars run today.
That's right.
Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Jimmy Johnson also had another solid day for the 6th straight race at Dover. He led the most laps. He finished second, and we'll be honest, coming into the day, we had the conversation, this may be it for that team. Well, is maybe this day the turning point for them now?
I think it really got him back in the game and made a lot of us look stupid that thought that he was out of it. I will tell you that. I mean, the guy moved from 10th in the points all the way up to 5th right now, dominated, led 157 laps. Looked like the Jimmy of old, and so anybody that was doubting him, and I got to tell you, I was doubting him a little bit.
Well, yeah, of course.
He proved us all wrong.
No, that's right. But once again, they got to race for it. If they get to race for it, this group, this 48 team, will be the team to beat. And that's what was fun today. The past few weeks of the fuel mileage issue creates the speculation because no one knows what's going to happen.
Right.
So we sit here and we're going to judge that. And that's fair on our part, but it's also unfair to the competitors.
Especially for that 48 team in Chicago. They had been running well all day long, and like Jimmy Johnson pointed out, we ran out of fuel.
That's right.
The other driver to talk about is the guy who was leading the points coming into this day. That was the guy who won the first 2 chase races, Tony Stewart. Not the best day for him. He finished 25th in points, but right now he's tied for 3rd in points with the 22 car. Salvage effort?
Yeah, it was a salvage effort. It was fine. I mean, he finished 25th. We all knew that he was going to struggle here. Right now, he's only 9 points out of the lead, and he's going into Kansas, a track that he really runs good at. So he's got his bad track out of the way right now, Cole and Brad.
Yeah.
And I think he should be really happy where he's at, only 9 points out.
Well, the thing is, they struggled all day. They did not run very well, and I thought it was going to be much more of a catastrophic day for him once I saw where he finished and where he ran. But only those 9 points, that's nothing for a guy like Tony Stewart. He's already ripped off 2. I don't know why he can't rip off 2 more.
Top 9 drivers separated by just 19 points. It will be certainly fun to watch next weekend when we head to Kansas. It's the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Kansas, Saturday, 3 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And then we'll see how this chase shakes out in race 4. It's the Sprint Cup Series at Kansas, presented by Dodge, next Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Coming up next, we've got SportsCenter. Final thoughts as we say congratulations one more time to Kurt Busch.
Good run out of Kurt Busch, but right now we're going to Kansas, and I'm telling you what, that's a really fast 1.5-mile racetrack, another style. You know, we've had a 1-mile high bank concrete track. Next week, not the case, Brad.
Yeah. Once again, Kevin Harvick, he just kind of keeps hanging around. He and crew chief Gil Martin, they get a good solid 10th place finish, and he goes out of here leading the points. Keep an eye on him.
We'll have more to come from Dover on SportsCenter coming up next. Congratulations once again to Kurt Busch. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. We'll see you in 1 week when we are in Kansas.
Number 3 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is underway.
There you go, bud. Good job.
Carl Edwards hunting for the race lead.
Every time there's a lead change, there's a new points leader.
You were doing a hell of a job, Jimmy. Thank you. Let's do this. I can't make it do something it doesn't want to do here. Do later, the 22.
Here comes Carl Edwards charging up through there. Kurt Busch wins at Dover.